And we're live.
Are we? Hello. Welcome to Roast Goob. Podcasters of the one of the other 27 podcasts. Fans of Power. That's the one. Your first stop in He-Man and She-Ra podcasting. Joe, you owe me the money later. I'm James Eatock. I'm like the guest person here, so I'm waving crazily, and I'm joined by. Do you guys introduce yourselves these days, or is it like no introduction needed?
We always do, but don't ever introduce Tyler as Newt did a couple weeks ago.
No.
Tyler,
I'm gonna do it every time now, just to piss you guys off.
She said Tyler He-Man Baker. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake! So don't ever do that intro. But
I don't know. I don't know everybody's nicknames these days, but I know it's Tyler Crackers the Clown Baker, right?
Son of a bitch.
I'm just going to give everybody's normal names. Nathan Kennedy, the man they call apparently Joe Amato, that we'll never know until he reveals the mask, takes off the mask, I should say. And the person I'm meeting for the first time, I guess, Rebecca.
It's Newt. Nobody calls me Rebecca except for
no one
my
calls
brother.
you Rebecca ever.
No, I was referring to aliens.
Oh wow!
She's just quoting aliens.
Yeah.
Okay. So and Newt. There we go.
Newt.
And
just don't ever. Hey James, I was gonna say, just don't ever have her send you freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. You might be in a world of trouble.
Oh God!
But we won't mess with her on that. We did it last week. She did. There we go. She scratched the shit out of my throat. It was good, but holy fuck, it was like rocks and glass. It was delicious though. But like I said, I eat out of dumpsters, so I'm not new to anything like that. Not that saying it's shit, but
That's
I'm
all
just.
I just sent him a bad batch of cookies.
She was like, yeah, I could picture that. She was baking them all up, and she was like,
yeah, and I kept all the good ones and.
These are
He's like, fuck
these are
Joe, and just send him all the rock hard ones. Yeah.
I can picture her and John doing that. They're probably sitting there saying, these soft ones really are good, but yeah, send him the shitty ones. He won't know the difference. He eats anything. Fuck it.
That's
so
exactly what happened.
Yeah. So James, quickly, I'm gonna give a shout out to the chat room, and then we'll fuck around and see what's going on. We got Zentron, Daniel Carhoonan, Johnny Cock. No, you do Johnny Cock. Go ahead, say it, Nathan.
Johnny Cock.
All right. Michael Purvis, Brendan Haley, Jaime Maras, Deep Down, Papa Hut 69, Abden Gabbert, Grimbot's here. See, he's stalking you, James. He's here. He's watching.
I was going to say, if he wasn't here, I'd be offended. I'd be like, what?
That's right. Tough Nerd Toys, Jeff Morris, Tyrell White, JSP, Enzo, Eric Amon, and there. I think I got everybody. So it's been a while, James. How you been doing, man? Everything okay? It's been a while.
Yeah, relatively okay. I think the last podcast I did was a disaster with Tyler and Nathan, if I remember rightly, where Tyler was using real time, I believe, was his latest video format.
Real player.
He was using Microsoft Media Player or some shit like that.
I've never seen so many frames from you right now. You were literally like, it was like you were doing pop locking or something. It was quite amazing to watch.
Horrible.
The rest of the day and the next day at work, I'm like, oh my God, what a fucking disaster that was. It was. Miserable.
And then Joe had to go rescue a bunch of orphans or something.
That's
I don't
right,
know where Joe was with that one.
But it's like the lost episode that will never be seen, right? It's one of those things. Or you hide it behind a paywall, and then everybody's disappointed when they finally pay to see the episode. And they're like, this is it. And it's like, yeah, that's what you get.
It was pretty fucking bad.
It was bad. And we had fun, but from a technical and visual and audio standpoint, it was pretty atrocious, But for the most part,
this should have kept it up. Because I watched it the next day. I thought it was pretty good. Hello, MOTU Matt. I almost said that name out loud, and I don't like saying MOTU out loud. But no,
MOTU Matt, and we got a MOTU Joe over here.
And we got Zelda, Princess of Heart is here. So hey, we even got Zelda. That's somebody new. Is that somebody who knows you, maybe? James, possibly.
Zelda. I've heard of the character Zelda. Yeah. I mean, but I'm sure there are more than a few people on the internet that use the username Zelda. So it might be hard to narrow down in a police hunt. Not that we're accusing Zelda of doing anything.
But as for beyond that crazy episode that, like you said, is now a lost episode. But I mean, I see you're getting a little bit back into social media. I see you took a maybe a break for a bit. Did you just a little bit of a break just to relax? Something?
Because the world was on fire, right? The He-Man and She-Ra world was on fire from about what was that, August? No, June. When was it now? When did
July.
Revelation?
Late July.
July. Was it July now? Okay, so from July till yeah, about August time, and then I mean, this you know, when the CGI cartoon happened, that didn't seem to cause as much of a.
Yeah.
It wasn't as crazy. It was almost like people just went, oh, whatever, you know, and kind of moved past it. But yeah, Revelation was just like everybody's like, what do you think? I'm like, I'm
Well,
not
James, I was
stepping
going to
into
say,
this.
well,
There's
I
only-
mean, we know how it is. Like, you know, when we will type something down and people read it, sometimes people don't give a, you know, get the context. And of course, you didn't say anything about it. And are you comfortable with maybe wanting to say what you think about both the cartoons here? Because at least you're speaking it, and maybe they could understand whether, you know, you liked it, didn't, or there's things you liked and didn't like. You know, there could be a combination.
I would never go into as much detail as I would for like an episode like The Greatest Show on Eternia. I'm just going to keep making references to Crackers the Clown all day, apparently. But yeah, I just I didn't want to post anything online because there was no. You're not looking to win a situation, but there was no winning situation. Every opinion I gave or was prepared to give, I'd either be told I was wrong or I was right, or you're on our side or you're not on our side. I'm like, I don't care about sides. I just wanted to enjoy a He-Man cartoon. Guess what? I enjoyed some elements of it, and there was some things I didn't like about it. It's simple as that. That's the most people go, it's on the fence. It's like, no, it's just an honest opinion. There was some things I liked about it. There was some things there's quite a lot of things I didn't like about it, but I felt that was almost like the general consensus. Maybe that's at least with the a certain part of the community, I guess. But yeah, I didn't outrightly hate it or anything like that. And I'm obviously friends with Ted Biaselli, one of the executive producers on it. And he said, oh, can you like give me your honest opinion? So I sent him like a 30-minute review of all 5 episodes. I was like, here you go. And I was brutally honest. And he's an adult. He got back and he was like, I love your opinions. And then we had like an hour and a half video chat on Facebook, like a few days later, just chatted and chatted and chatted. He talked about he tried, you know, he's excited about it. He wants to spoil certain things. I'm like, no, don't tell me anything. But it was really good to chat because it was 2 adults talking about something they're passionate about. In this case, He-Man. In his case, He-Man, and obviously Revelation. And it's just like, yeah, we've got many disagreements about it, and there are a few things we agree about. But it doesn't change who we are as people or our friendships. Like I've said, I still to this day have only seen 1.5 episodes of the CGI show, and I thought I was going to like blow a gasket. And I watched and I was like, huh, okay, this isn't the worst thing ever. I mean, it's far from what I know, but it's not the worst thing ever, you know, in terms of cartoons. Do Sam would, you know, say to me, like, is it a great Master Universe cartoon? I'm like, if I'm saying I like it, I guess I'm saying it's a good Master Universe cartoon. But yeah, it's a very tricky thing, isn't it, when something has changed so drastically. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the CGI cartoon, but we're, nearly a month since it was released, and I'm only an episode and a half in. Kind of tells you how much, you know, passion I've got for it. It's like, yeah, I'll do a few other things first, and then when I've maybe got like a few hours, I'll just be like, nah, and watch it and see what I feel. Because I'll always digest as much He-Man and She-Ra as I can, and whether or not I like it or dislike it is another thing. But yeah, I know I'm being rather vague in my opinions, but
that's fine. That's what I mean. You're saying there was things you liked, didn't like. You gave an honest opinion. You weren't pissing all over fans or anybody like that, which that's the way to do it.
I understood why people loved Revelation. I also understood why people hated Revelation. I understood why people were in the middle, and I guess that's kind of where I fall to a degree. But yeah, and the CGI thing, I think, you know, from the looks of that, it was so far kind of removed from what we know Master Universe to be that I think people. Like that was one of the first reviews I heard like a few months earlier was it's so far removed from what we know He-Man to be that it's kind of almost impossible to get like angry about it. It's like, well, I don't even recognize this, and I think that's
why
it's hard
to compare it when it's so different.
Exactly, and I think that's why I've been kind of why I watched the first 1.5 episodes, and I'm not looking at these characters as He-Man or Adam or this character or that actor. It's like, yeah, they're in name only. There are certain characteristics they've got, but it's like what I had to do with the New Adventures, because that was a stretch. Bear in mind, I'm one of the people that loves the New Adventures of He-Man cartoon, but when I first saw that, I bloody couldn't stand it. I was like, what's this Jason the Wheeled Warriors knockoff bullshit? Because it was animated in Japan. I couldn't figure it out. And a few years later, I just remember thinking to myself, if I kind of treat it as, this was like 94, but I was like, if I could treat it as like an Elseworld story, maybe I can, and that was what I did, like a what if He-Man was sent into space or into the future on Primus and fights Skeletor. And He-Man and Skeletor and the Sorceress are the only characters we know. Everybody else, Flog, Slushhead, Hydron, Quickshot, all these characters are completely new to us. But yeah, I just enjoyed that for what it was. With New Adventures of He-Man, that was such a departure from what we knew. When you think about it, like it's I always say this. Imagine if that show aired now. Like if we hadn't got the CGI cuts, they go, we're bringing back He-Man, and it's going to blow your minds, and we're like, what is this? Why has he got a ponytail and why is he wearing blue spandex? I don't, it's crazy.
Sure, which is what you're saying there. It's pretty much what we've been experiencing our whole lives. This isn't nothing new for, when people think, wow, they're not liking this new Revelation cartoon or they're not liking the CGI one. Can't they move on past Filmation? And we keep thinking, well, Filmation, it was good, but there's things I shit on with that too. But New Adventures, that came along, and it had experienced the same stuff that Revelation. It's like, what in the hell is this? And people weren't into it. A lot of people weren't into the 87 movie. Then you fast forward to the MYP cartoon, everybody was like, God damn, that's awesome. So it shows, yeah, we can enjoy something if it looks great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if there's things you don't like or if you love, great. And like you said, the new version, the CGI one, that is, like they said, it is for kids. It is geared towards kids. And me and Nathan, we were talking about if you love Final Fantasy and role-playing games, the kids would be all into that too because it feels very video game-like, especially when they use some of their moves. I won't spoil it for you if you're going to be watching. You'll see. There's something you'll see 6 times.
I was going to say, my friend is like really big into, I think, Final Fantasy and all that stuff. He's like, oh, I love the character designs. And I'm like, I don't even know what they're supposed to be, but sure, okay. And that's like, I'm not hating on it. It's just I like my He-Man to be, and I always will, like the fantasy barbarian science thing. That's just what I like. And I keep saying to people, and it's not a knock on people, but, the way I've dealt with, I don't know, kind of, whilst everybody was trying to burn down everything, the internet, whether you be for Revelation, against Revelation, for CGI, against CGI, my attitude was, why are we doing this? Why not just like talk about the things we love about He-Man and She-Ra? So I was just going around going, hey, I like this Filmation thing. Hey, I love that Mark Texeira mini comic. Hey, that Star comic is great. Because it's like, what's the point? If we spend the next 10 years hating on every new He-Man thing, yeah, granted, you're trying to make a point, but at the end of the day, celebrate what we've got already, because goodness me, like what an awesome 1980s vintage of stuff we've got. All that wonderful He-Man She-Ra stuff, and all the stuff we always find out to this day, where it's like, oh my god, they were doing, like, I don't know if you saw the videos that Chris, I was, if he's watching or if he sees this later, I never know.
Chris Oneida.
There you go, Chris Oneida. Those videos he posted, which was the alternate version of the Treachery of Modulot mini comic in color. We'd seen some pages before, but all in color. I was like, oh, and the prototypes, and I was like, that's a blue Hordak, and that explains why Hordak is blue in the first mini comic he appears in, which is the Grizzlaw, the Legend Comes Alive. He's blue. I didn't even think of that before, and I was like, oh. So it's stuff like that. That's what I love about the vintage stuff. And that's why I will always continue to champion it, because it's not because I'm stuck in the past. It's because there's still so much we don't know, and that's the beauty of it. Like I said, I think I told you guys before, there's a sketch I saw, Dusan pointed me to it, and it's that gorgeous, wonderful, weird sketch of Granomir, it was like a concept illustration next to a female Granomir. I was like, why did we, who's got that in their collection? Share that. I want to see that shit. But yeah, stuff like that. There's always new stuff to discover, and that's the beauty of what I love about celebrating the original He-Man and She-Ra. Which is why, if I don't like something, like, guess what? Wasn't a big fan of She-Ra. Watched one season, went, this is not for me. Never spoke of it again, because I was like, why am I going to waste my time going, I hate this person, I hate that. It's like, no, I'm going to talk about the old She-Ra or the old He-Man or the New Adventures or 2002 or even that 87 movie that I wasn't too keen on. But yeah.
Tyler just got angry, like, God damn it.
Sorry, Tyler. I love Stout stuff. I've always said that. I've always loved Bill Stout stuff. The design work on that film is supreme. It's just the film itself. Like, let's all go to Earth, kids. Oh, do we have to,
But I want to ask you guys this, because James mentioned this, and I feel like this happens a lot with He-Man. I don't know if it's so much with Star Wars or Transformers or even, Turtles, or even the other classic properties. But when people are against the new stuff, the immediate response is, you're stuck in the past. As if like, are you forgetting this stuff stuck around not just as a nostalgia, because it was really fucking good.
Yeah.
And no one seems to, quite understand it. It's because it's always meant in a very demeaning way. All these man babies stuck in the past. It's always about He-Man. Like, are people who are, still fixated, and with good reason, on the original Star Wars films, are they labeled as you're stuck in the past, as opposed to you like really good quality storytelling and great special effects that are not dumbed down by someone who has no clue what they're doing? Why is it He-Man fans are always labeled as people that just, get off my porch, old man bullshit? I've never understood that perception. It's almost as if, like, these people that are saying that have never really been that invested in the vintage line
no, we
or
know
Filmation.
this, man. We know that. We know the amount of casual fans that came in from via She-Ra and the Revelation show. These people probably haven't seen. Well, the fact that the Revelation was advertised as it's been 40 years since you've seen a He-Man cartoon. I was like, wait a minute, I'm sure we got like 2 in between, right? It's that kind of thing. It's marketed towards those fans who, oh yeah, I remember watching that when I was a kid, and oh, I love this new thing because I haven't seen the old thing since 1983. It's just, yeah, the people often shouting that you're a stick in the mud and all this are the ones that didn't even enjoy the original, or even didn't even enjoy the vintage brand as a whole.
Right.
I like the idea.
I want to get your all's perspective on it because I see it a lot. And
I think Star Wars is probably worse to me, honestly, because you have the original trilogy, you have the prequel, you have the sequel trilogy.
You have like tiers of different
people. Yeah, you got all the animated shows, like all that shit, the various releases of action figures. I would say that would probably be worse than this. It's just easier to hone in on because Masters of the Universe is something that hasn't gotten as many chances as a Star Wars and a Turtles and Transformers, and so it's on its own island, I feel like. But it's also the same thing with Tyler. Like, Master Universe is like, that's your biggest thing, so you're probably magnifying that a little more too.
But I completely sympathize that with anybody that appreciates what was done in the past. If it happens to be done in the past, why you like that? There's a difference between nostalgia and you just really appreciate quality. Yeah. Like, I can watch The Dragon's Gift as an adult and watch it as pure quality, as opposed to how I watched it when I was a kid. And I just hate that that's an excuse. And it does make me wonder, because people who love Transformers, they're constantly putting out Generation 1 merchandise, and it's always selling very well amongst all the other stuff. So obviously they're acknowledging the past is what's really drawing in Transformers fans. I mean, on a grand scale, but He-Man fans, maybe it's just because it's more social media based. I feel like the fan community has never given its due. Like, they don't see it as, and I don't know, maybe it's because things have changed because social media, because there's so many more casual fans in the hardcore fan base. It's not seen as on the scale of Turtles or even Thundercats or, Transformers Generation 1. Like, it's not seen as powerful as these others are about the purity of it, why we still are championing and celebrating it.
Right. I feel like that whole argument of you're stuck in the past is a way for them to try and shut you down. From like, your opinion doesn't matter. It's just a way to try and shut you down.
It's such a weak argument.
Quickly, I apologize. Quickly, I'm going to change into my butter mask because my eyeball's being crushed. I can't see. I've been my eyes have been closed the whole fucking time.
It probably looks like Quasimodo behind his mask, like one eye's up here.
No, it is the same in the Star Wars community. Like, you'll get shut down. Funny thing is, people tell me that, and I was like, I wasn't born then, so I'm not stuck in the past. I just enjoy quality stuff. So.
As I keep telling people, it's like I wouldn't get so bent out of shape about certain things, because I guarantee, and this is no disrespect to any of the modern ones, and if anybody's watching, I think, or certain people are watching, 10 years from now, there's still the defining He-Man and She-Ra versions will be the Filmation show. As simple as that. I'm not even standing here saying it's the best. It's the one I enjoy the most, but I'm not saying it's the best. But sorry, I just.
There we go.
Am I back?
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Here.
Wait a second, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Skype is being kind of weird. Like Newt's been frozen
Yeah.
on here.
Got- yeah,
Oh, am I
I've
frozen?
On my end too.
Yeah, I can see like a little
I
circle.
can't see myself, so.
Oh no.
If anybody would be frozen, it'd be nice if it was me because who the fuck needs to look at me
Yeah,
anyways?
it wouldn't matter
Oh,
as much
Joe.
when it's you, Joe.
Captain Buttonmask, what the hell?
You're
Sure, I can
fine.
sit there like
Joe
this.
looks like he's been
You guys-
Ellen back. He's been a back alley brawl in his face. Of his.
Look at this fucking face. And I don't know how many times I've sat like this sometimes when you guys are talking and you're like, Joe, are you okay? Like sometimes you thought it was froze because you can't tell with this fucking mask. Oh, Christ.
Oh,
Ah, shit. Well, I was gonna say, James, there's a lot of different topics we'll get into, some stuff that you're gonna have that'll be kind of
course,
cool, hopefully, unless it might be stuff that'll be shit like here on the Land of Legend, but we don't know. But before that, any cool things going on that maybe stuff with Emiliano, anything you could share?
see, you dropped my cue there. Here I come.
See?
Yeah, so I think it's tomorrow. Emiliano's gonna kind of launch a teaser. He's already kind of teased it, and there'll be more and more coming in the I guess coming weeks and months. And
Is this about his new figure line or toys or some shit? Because something
pretty
sounded
much, yeah, that's it. His new all I can say is I've seen everything from it. Well, I mean, as much has been kind of produced, and it's the simple thing is it's amazing. Like tomorrow you'll see like the name of it, which is wonderfully audacious. I love it. But the toys, even the promotional thing. The way I said to Emilio, I was like, the way you photograph these figures is like looking at an old Mattel catalog where you have that red source of lightning with a red background and the I guarantee. I feel like Tyler out of everyone would just like love it because the characters and you kind of know where he's going with it. It's to me, I can't see anyone not buying this that is a fan of the vintage toys. Just put it like that. Anyone that's a fan of those toys would be like, oh, and just
I'm just giddy the thoughts about it because just knowing
so
Emiliano,
good.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, you look at all the shit that he's done and a lot of the reference material, the art and things that he's done with Masters, but he's somebody that is a fan that just gets it, meaning not just Masters, but he gets fantasy, he gets cool shit, and it's not like
ridiculous.
just to make money,
Yeah, no, this is something that's a passion project for me. Of course, it's always nice to make money, but this is first and foremost like his passion projects. He's doing this because he wants to see an action figure of his own realized, and oh my god, it's so bloody good. And it's not just things that you would expect. There are like lots of original ideas in that and some influences where you're like, that seems really obvious. That yes, I'm not, obviously I can't say too much, but all I will say is like I guarantee that people will love this. What's going on? Am I still here?
Oh yeah, you're still here.
Rebecca?
Oh, Rebecca's.
I told her to leave and join back in to see if that would fix
Okay.
camera issue on her end.
No, I mean anything. Just the thought of what he's doing. I guess, like I said, I don't even know. But the thought of if it's going to be
so
anything fantasy related, I think we're going to jump all over it because Christ,
it's ridiculous. It's just
can't wait.
The way you will look at it is like these work perfectly. It's just there's no way this doesn't turn heads at certain corporate companies and go, oh, maybe we should have. That's all I'm going to say like that. It's just
God, it's amazing to hear.
He's so. I mean, like it's him and I don't know if the other names have been announced, but like a few other people working on it, and they are very talented individuals that deserve all the kind of attention and hopefully praise and love and business, because it is about money sometimes, that they hopefully will get. But I'm going to support this like massively because I said to Emiliano, like, let me know whenever you want something posted because I'll pimp the hell out of it, because it's oh god, when you hopefully at some point he'll show the photos of said figures on their surroundings, and it is just something out of a 1983.
Isn't Josh a part of it too? I think.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking Van Pelt was part
I believe it's Joshua Van Pelt's peer, whose surname I always forget, who's a really super talented sculptor guy who's been in the community for
Pierre Bronner, maybe.
That's
Pierre
it.
Bronner?
Yeah. I always remember. I forget how to pronounce the surname. It's like Nate Batch, one of the most talented artists we got, like people, guy who's worked for me, and I can still never pronounce his name.
Is this gonna real quick, James? I wonder if this is gonna be like, up front, pay $600, wait 4 years to get the figures. You know, I think that'd be a good business model. What do you think? You know,
I think just the way it is, there will be like a pre-order process, but I don't think it's going to be. You have to wait like.
No, I know.
14
Whatever
weeks.
he's gonna do will be a good price. It'll be fucking awesome.
No,
you know
like,
he's gonna deliver the
Yeah, you
goods.
won't be copying Super 7's, business plan, right?
But the other thing is as well about his thing is just that I think the level of quality in it of this thing is that I think people will be like, oh, I'll happily wait. I'm not saying people will have to wait 4 years or anything crazy like that. But even then, I think people will be like, oh, given that we're going to get those, cool with me. Because, like, it just everything he's always done, which I've always, like, respected the guy's work.
I don't question
so
anything. Like James, real quick, just for example, think about when the 2000X figures came out. The one thing that we all hated and was sorely lacking was that horrible card art and the lack of any art for inserts. It was pictures of the figures. And then fast forward years later, and then we get from NECA, we get those stactions. And what do we get? Beautiful art on the back. You get inserts. Emiliano doing art. And I don't know how much he had to do with maybe influencing or tell NECA to do that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he said, hey, this would be a good thing. This is something we used to get back in the day. I mean, like I said, it's like he revitalized that stuff to bring it back. He knows what we want and he knows what we need.
Well, when we were doing the Super 7 Neo Vintage stuff, like that was I think Josh Neyman worked. Oh, Rebecca's back. Hello.
There she is.
Sorry,
Hey.
I had to restart my PC. I don't know.
But yeah, when we were working on those Neo Vintage things, you look at the card backs of those, they are pure like vintage, because Emiliano illustrated all those little cross-cell illustrations. When you see them close up, they look exactly like the cross-cell illustrations on the back, like the figure stood there kind of in that funny pose and stuff. Just fantastic. And obviously getting Errol McCarthy to do the card back illustrations at the top.
Yeah.
Mattel could have done that with classics. They could have done that, but with classics they had... I mean, obviously, it was a much cheaper option, I guess. You have the guy running the brand write the bios, and you have just photos of figures. It probably was like zero expense, to be honest.
And not even new art. We get like a picture of something from the past put into that little teeny symbol that was on the bio thing.
Not exactly a great deal of work went into those, but yeah, that was so. Yeah, Emiliano's.
We'll have to get Emiliano when he's ready. We'll have to get his ass on the show, and he can talk about that stuff too when he's ready, when he's allowed to, and we'll go nuts about it. And now I'm hoping, since all the hype you just did, James, you can't let us down with what you have. You better not deliver us a pile of shit. This better be some good stuff, James. Whatever you got better be good. He's like, oh shit. Yeah,
it's all crap. What do you want me to start with then? Because I can do
any crap. I mean, any stuff you have.
I see what you did there. So I've got Let me have a look. I'm actually looking at the graphic that I posted. I was like, what did I promise? Oh yeah,
what was that again? Yeah. Oh wait, oh shit, I wasn't gonna do that.
Yeah, it was shit that I promised. I can let me think. I could do the Return of Faker clip now if you want, which obviously means Joe has to go into silent mode, assuming you don't want... Not there's a spoiler in here, because you've obviously...
Is there a spoiler?
Well, no, it's basically... Obviously, Return of Faker was 30 minutes long, and now Dusan and I going back and going, we're making it 40 minutes, so now there's scenes sporadically going into it. This is one of those scenes. This is just storyboard, though, so... But I just want to make sure... I mean, it's no big secret. Joe has probably definitely seen the Return of Faker. Oh my God, Mattel! They're at my front door. Sorry, I mean NBC Universal, not Mattel. They weren't involved, officer. So yeah, I don't know if you want to watch it or whatever. It's your call, Joe.
No, I can. I'll tell you what. I'll just take out my earpiece and Nathan can give me I won't be hearing nothing, right? You're just going to show stuff, right?
I'm going to show a storyboard with audio. So.
Fuck! I'll watch. Who cares? I guess.
I'll be damned. Joe breaking his own rules.
I broke my rule, but it would make it probably too difficult if I take out my earpiece and tell Nathan to give me the middle fingers when he's ready.
I mean, all I would do is just give you the doubles there, sir.
Right. Okay. I'm going to try and do this. So I'm actually going to twist my iPhone round so it's looking at my TV. So give me a second. How professional is this?
Don't pull a Joe. Don't pull a Joe Amato.
Well, see, originally James was like, "Do you want me to send you the file?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can do that." And he's like, I'll just show my TV." I'm like, "Hey, man, whatever you want to do."
Okay. Volume. Hopefully you can hear this. Let me know if you can hear it at first, because otherwise there's no dialogue initially. Can I still? Oh, I'm still in shot. Yeah. It's very professional, isn't it? It's like.
No, I like this. This is like watching one of those shitty bootlegs of someone that's gone into the theater with a camcorder to film
Yeah,
the
here's
movie.
somebody coughing in the background.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so I've cranked the volume up. Now I'm trying to play this via my TV and a USB stick, so I think there'll be a little display for a few seconds. Can you still hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately. I mean, yes, we can hear you.
Hey, you saw what you did there. Okay, here we go. Is it working? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear it all right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
very well.
Statue of Skeletor. Remember that?
Is that from
Statue of
Song of
Skeletor.
Solis?
Yeah.
God, that's awesome.
Thanks for the rescue. Wait a minute.
Merman!
Intruder.
Well, now I have you to worry about.
You don't seem happy to see me.
If that's supposed to be funny, it isn't. I'm going through, even if I have to go through you.
Why not? How can I lose?
This is ridiculous.
Why, you?
I hope this works. You black-hearted villain! Prepare to defend yourself!
No!
Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
Oh, be happy when he knows about us.
Thank goodness.
The end.
Check that out. Got some good
Yeah.
action. Like that.
Yeah, did you love the absurdity of having Merman as a skilled swordsman?
I liked it.
That use of the He-Man animation. Like, oh, fucking A, man.
Well, it's just one of those things. I thought, like, one, you know, in the Return of Faker, Merman exits in a certain. Well, I mean, that clip's online. Merman is exited from the episode. We never see him again. So I thought, well, maybe like we bring Merman back, and I thought, like, oh, and I remember I sent Dusan that storyboard. And he was like, that's great. Just take out one thing, which I think is still in there. But yeah, for the most part, I just thought like the absurdity of having Merman, who's, you know, typical Skeletor henchman with a few pratfalls here and there. It's like, what if he's like a really skilled swordsman? And even Teela's like, this is ridiculous. Yeah, it's almost like she's breaking the fourth wall in a way. It's like, this is ridiculous.
He should be a skilled swordsman though, because he's got that coral sword. Like, you
he's
know,
got the really cool sword. But I mean, in this one, it's like I don't think we'll be giving him the really cool sword. But at the same time, I thought, it's a fun scene. You know, it takes up a couple of minutes, and yeah, and I thought just having Merman like pretty skilled is a fun little thing to do.
It's refreshing.
that was perfect dialogue you used for the. And I was when you said it was gonna be Merman, I'm like, I hope to God we get to see the diving animation from Search for the VHO, like, because that's one of the most beautifully animated sequences of the entire series.
I mean, Dusan's going to hate me obviously because he has to animate that at some point.
Yeah.
He's like, but it will be worth it. But like, I mean, the problem about that storyboard, if you watch, I should have kind of give it a bit of more like context. It's like, yes, there's a statue. Yes, there's a giant pool next to it. It's like the establishing shot will hopefully showcase all that, like giant pool here, statue there, so you can figure out where everything is. Because when he dives out of screen, you're like, what's he doing? He jump into the middle of nothing. But yeah, it'll all
Was that whole diving animation? Was that originally from a Tarzan cartoon, or what was
yeah,
that?
I think so. Yeah, Dusan will point out in the chat, but that was almost definitely a Tarzan. I think they used it in Tarzan, maybe. I don't think it was in Flash Gordon, but it was. I mean, it was in Tarzan. I think they repurposed it for Search for the VHO because that was Search for the VHO. storyboarded by Michael Swanigan, and he put loads of Tarzan and Flash Gordon reference in there because he was such a
That was pretty much
Filmation
the only
fan.
good shit from that episode was the goddamn swimming and the diving.
Yeah,
Man, that was a horrible
it's
fucking
not a
episode.
very good episode at all. No.
Grim says it's from Tarzan stock.
There we go.
so
There we go. It's from Tarzan stock. But yeah, it's so yeah. There you go. There's, I mean,
Thanks for that sneak peek, and we'll probably
That's all right.
it's probably maybe a year or two. Do you think until all that stuff would be done, or what?
I mean, we'll probably. I'm going to guess Dusan and I'll start animating kind of early next year. But obviously, it's kind of supposed to be parallel to the Fake and Filmation documentary. So when the ball gets rolling on that, we'll kind of go forward, I guess. There's so much. I mean, next year should hopefully, fingers crossed, be a creatively busy and fulfilling year. But we shall see.
Well, that was an awesome one. We're honored that you actually got to share that with us, and we got to have a debut.
Thank you for
Little
letting
sneak-
me share.
No problem. And
that,
now
that statue being included too was so cool. Also, I love that touch.
Yes, I mean, I just sort of like, I'll put the statue in there as well. I need to make it. Obviously, it'll look a hell of a lot more better than my crappy drawing of it. But
That
it's
was such an impressive shot. In that one episode, just seeing that statue, it always stuck out to me as a kid, and I don't know why, but it's cool that obviously it left an impression on you guys as well.
I know you think it's one of those things they should have included in more episodes, like a giant statue of Skeletor in his own domain. It's like, what? We're only going to use it once, and then I think it pops up in the background of the Magic Falls, maybe. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, what kind of goodies do you have beyond that? Do you have some stuff that we've never seen?
What did I promise? Filmation Premises Season 2. I'll start off with the thing that I think Dusan had been kind of telling Tyler about, pimping to Tyler and saying, I need to call him Tyzan. I mixed Dusan and Tyler.
Oh, that's my new nickname. So,
yeah,
James Hosey calls me Tyzan. Newt can call me Tyzan. You two call me asshole.
Yeah.
It's done with love, I'm sure. So this is what is this? So this was included in like the season 2 series Bible. I should specify the 1984 series Bible. So they had the 1983 one, which was written by Michael Halperin and then kind of rejigged by Robbie London. It's kind of out there in places, but the Robbie London one is more what we got. Is, your Gorpos, is he Gorpo in that? Yeah, I think there's Prince Adam striking the sword against Stone to become He-Man, and a few other things. But Robbie London's take on the series Bible is a lot more what we got, because obviously Robbie London was the kind of uncredited founder of the Filmation He-Man style and universe, I guess. That might be a grandiose term, but he definitely was a very big part of that. And so when season 2 happened, or I guess towards the end of season 1, they knew they were doing another. God, at the time it was like 39 episodes, and then they ended up making it 33 and 32. But yeah, the next 39 episodes they started taking the original series Bible, the Robbie London one, and then expanding it even more with almost like creating a unique backstory. But this one is, to the point where when Dusan reminded me, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about it. It's one of those things I completely forget. So, are you sitting comfortably? Are you sitting comfortably?
Oh yes, quite, very.
We don't have expectations no more after every time you show us something.
Question.
We just shit. Yeah, every time you done something, and we're like, oh God, what happened? So we, whatever. We're just waiting, I guess.
Well, you're not going to get like Hero Land of Legend. There might be some crap in here, but I think for the most part it should be good. So, Master Universe. So this is like I say, midway in the season 2 series Bible. There's just these. Oh Christ, 10 pages. Okay, here we go. Right, so it starts off in another dimension, in a far distant galaxy. There occurred a galactic-shattering event, Skeletor's rebellion against the greatest evil power in existence, the all-powerful ruler of Villania, Villania, Villania. Let's go with that. Villania. We'll go with Villania. Also, Skeletor is spelled with an A in this, so don't ask me why. Obviously, the guy writing this wasn't maybe topped up on it, so it's Skeletor. Skeletor, the young...
Sounds like a Kevin Smith job.
How dare you? Skeletor, the youngest, brightest, and most crafty of all of the ruler's apprentices, decided his time had come to usurp supreme power over Villania. Villania. Oh, why we're doing this?
I mean, you know what? Real quick, James. I'm almost wondering if they're trying to make a new world. Maybe Villania. Are they trying to say that this is a new place? Maybe is that what
Let's
they're
go with
trying to
Villania. Let's go with Villania. Yeah, I think I like that. Yeah, so Villania is another planet. So Skeletor.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Underestimating the ruler's power, Skeletor and those who had aided with him were forced to flee. In the wake of, what did we say it was called again? Villania. In the wake of the
Vanilla Wafer.
In the wake of the Villanian ruler's wrath, some were successful in making their escape with Skeletor through the time portal into the kingdom of Eternia. Other less fortunate were apprehended and thrown into the abyss, a huge, what the hell? Eatock hole in space that swallows up everything that comes near, never to return or be retrieved. Through many years have passed since the rebellion, neither the evil ruler of Villania, or whatever it's called, nor Skeletor have forgotten their destiny to one day face each other again for the ultimate supremacy of all multidimensional universe. This is how it's written, actually. So this is interesting. It says at the bottom, well, among those helpless followers of Skeletor that were captured and thrown into the abyss, several survived, yet the black depths... survived the black depths of its confinement. It's really weirdly written. But,
I like how James is just as surprised as anybody else. It's like he's never read it before.
So I'm reading this for this is like reading the Land of Legend. Shows up again. This is like reading the Land of Legend Bible. It's me doing the whole thing of like, what? But
every single time you come on, you do this shit. I can't take it. I just can't take it. So
right, here we go. Right, but here's the interesting thing.
What?
On this,
why would they do that?
On this first page.
No.
On this first page, it says at the bottom, note, and this is the interesting thing. The all-powerful ruler of Villania.
Just say V.
Villania.
Just say V.
Just say vagina. That's easy to remember. Vagina.
Villania, like millennia. There we go. Villania.
There you go. Right. Exactly. That's what I did.
What?
Yeah.
But at the bottom,
2 seconds later, what was it again? What?
So the all-powerful ruler of Villania is, it says, to be introduced as the Evil Horde in 1985. So there you go.
That's where I thought it was going.
So this is like obviously an early version of what would become the Evil Horde, which, as we all know, was a combined effort between Mattel and Filmation together. And there's more. This is page 2.
We're only on page 2 and we got 9 more fucking pages. Yeah. Holy shit, we're in for a ride. Buckle up, everybody.
Okay. So no, I think it becomes. Oh, there's that V word again. Hurling through the black hole at the speed of light, traversing billions of miles of space and through multi-dimensions, Skeletor's former cohorts are suddenly spewed from the interior of the Great White Hole Nebula and toward the nearby planetary system that is home to Eternia. Spinning end over end toward Eternia, a strange, they haven't finished that word, phenomenon has occurred as a result of their journey through the black hole. The villainous, oh god, now it's confused me with the word villain. The villainous, I don't even know what that's supposed to say. Newcomers are enveloped in a protective electromagnetic insulation that has allowed them to survive their ordeal. Drawn by the gravitational attraction of the Eternian planet, the force field envelope cushions their fall as they land one by one on the bleak, storm-whipped desert of the Sands of Time. So basically, Skeletor's allies from Villania have arrived in the Sands of Time. Even though the journey through the black hole seemingly took only minutes, they are to soon find, oh God, this way it's written, that many years have elapsed since their Villania, oh God, judgment. Rising to their feet, dazed and confused, they seek out to look for relief from the oppressive heat and more hospitable terrain. Meanwhile, far away in the dark abode of Snake Mountain, Skeletor's sensor scanner has picked up activity in the desert. Knowing few would venture to the Sands of Time intentionally, unless it is a matter of life or death, Skeletor's curiosity is piqued, incorrectly spelt, for a better view. Moving the scanner viewing closer, he has difficulty seeing through the cyclonic whirlwinds that mute his view. Slowly the storm begins to subside, enough to get a clear view. Suddenly Skeletor's mouth drops open in shock as each of his old followers come into view. Evil Lyn comes into the room, one of the few of Skeletor's followers not with him at the time of his rebellion. Skeletor is overwhelmed with elation. So this is basically basically introducing these, I guess, second or third wave of He-Man toys. Skeletor's overwhelmed with elation, or just elated, at their appearance. As he explains, of course he does, each follows attributes. The first is Webstore, spelt Webster. Descended. Great. So
now
Philip
I'm just thinking of Emmanuel Lewis
Oh, Philip Webster.
coming out there.
Descended from an ancient amphibious race of subterranean creatures, his greatest ability lies in his master of escape and evasion. Even Skeletor admits, had it not been for Webstore, he, Skeletor, might not have been able to find the time warp through which he was able to escape. Webstore is the master of dexterity. Not only is he proficient in climbing with his web-like feet and hands, but with keen eye and perfect muscular coordination, he can use his climbing hook and tether with equal ability in climbing the most insurmountable terrain. Webstore can also use his climbing hook for a weapon, lashing it out at his adversary with whip-like speed and accuracy, blinding his opponent and rendering them helpless. So next, the powerful warrior Clawful, a crustacean-like creature, half man, half crab, apparently. He possesses one large pincer for a hand that has the crushing power of thousands of pounds of pressure. Due to his crustacean genetics, Clawful can withstand extremes of heat and cold. Except for his massively muscled, man-like arms and legs, his head and body are encased in a thick lobster shell mantle that serves as an impenetrable armor. Unlike the Filmation version, which you could just poke him. Next interview, Skeletor sees Jitsu, not Chopper, the consummate, I love this term, the consummate master of martial arts, who has never met his match in or out of any arena. On Valenia, got it this time, before the rebellion, I fucked that up, he was the master of the arena, never to be defeated in over 1,000 battles. Representing the ultimate in athletic ability with his one metal gloved fist, powerful enough to drive a massive tree stump. Drive it where? Okay, flush with the ground and combined with the agility and speed of a hummingbird. He was the most formidable warrior in all of Valenia. A massively built creature known as Whiplash steps into the scanner's view, half man, half reptile. All want to stay clear of the whipping force of his crocodile-like tail. Often his adversaries mistakenly underestimate his dim-witted, sluggish creature. That's interesting, because that's like, the Filmation one was obviously intelligent, whereas the 2002 one was like, "Duh, what are we doing?" What else are we... Yeah, that's a flashback. Fleet Man, blah, blah, blah. His keen reptilian eyesight and sense of smell make him the greatest tracker and guide in the entire universe. Even though, like Clawful, he can withstand extreme heat and deprivation, he's forced into hibernating state under conditions of extreme cold. Here we go. A hissing sound comes over the scanner. Who's the hissing sound belong to? It's Cobra Khan, the last of an extinct race of snake creatures, half man, half snake. He moves along with the others, turning his head from side to side. Extending his head, interesting. Extending his head-sensing tongue. Where else would his tongue be? To pick up movement of possible prey or foe. Opposite of Webster's ability at evasion, Cobra Khan can locate friend or foe at great distances and in the most ingenious hiding places with highly developed tongues simply by picking up their body heat. It talks about his sprays. Skeletor's first impulse of elation is to go to his old comrades' rescue. Then suddenly a horrible thought comes to him. Perhaps they are not with him. Perhaps they are not of one mind. What? Of one mind with him after all these many years. Then a shocking thought hit him. Maybe they have even sided with the ruler of Valenia, and now are here on Eternia as mercenaries come to take back for a handsome reward. Could it be? I must be sure, he tells Evil Lynn. But how? Okay, here we go. I've just noticed the name that's popped up here. Just then, Beastman, very familiar with him, comes into the room with Skeletor's new brainchild, Screech, a huge, evil-looking bionic falcon with fierce, demonic eyes that can change to visual scanning computers at will. Part falcon from the genius... from the... What? There's some really bad spelling here. Falconus gigantus, it says here, and part bionic. Screech is controlled by a special computer for a brain, which Skeletor has programmed to do his bidding. What a surprise. Screech. There's more about Screech. Oh, okay, this is interesting. So it talks about Snake Mountain. Skeletor's going to hook up with the Valenians. Meanwhile, in the far-off outskirts of the Eternian Kingdom, there resides the city of Targa. See A Tale of Two Cities.
Yes.
Garn is now ruler of Targa. Rhea, formerly the princess of the adjoining city of Operon, is now his wife and queen. Oh, it's a happy ending after all.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's shocking. Garn learned from He-Man that physical power is guided by a moral and righteous hand. Guided by a moral and righteous hand is a kingdom's greatest asset. In keeping with this philosophy, Garn has placed his. Oh my God! You can tell I'm reading this for like maybe the second time in about 20 years. In keeping with this philosophy, Garn has placed his able student Fisto in command of the Targan Guards. Fisto is as good, kind, and considerate as his evil counterpart Jitsu is selfish, greedy, and possessive. Also like his evil counterpart, Fisto is the greatest athlete and warrior in all of his province, next to Garn, and a martial arts master. His fist is powerful enough to cut thick armor plates in half with one blow, yada, yada, yada. Okay, who else we got? Oh, okay. Once on a diplomatic call, Teela and Man-at-Arms were flying back to Targa when Man-at-Arms got a peculiar signal. It's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm reading this and also going, oh, so that's where they got the idea for that as well. We're flying back to Targa when Man-at-Arms got a peculiar signal over his radar scanner. The signal was coming from an uncharted portion of the evergreen forest. Not leaving anything to chance, they decided to investigate. Moments later, to their amazement, the visual monitor reveals what looks like a very young, half-humanoid child, half bee. It appears to be fleeing a Dracos, huge dragon-like creature. Using the Wind Raider's laser stun, the Dracos is driven away. Searching the area for the youngster's home soon reveals the rest of the story. Buzz off. Not far from the spot, high above the forest, nestled neatly in the tops of 200-foot manor vines, Man-at-Arms and Teela find the frightened young child home. Somehow, the youngster decided to venture out of his home before he was physically able to and fell to the dark depths of the forest below, where, with the warrior males and their leader Buzz-Off gone, the rest of the colony had to watch in terror as the youngster tried to escape. I mean, this goes on for quite a bit, but you get it. They talk about Buzz-Off's origin, something about the Apodia, bee people. Evergreen Forest, Buzz-Off. Yeah, who else is coming into play?
That would have been cool to see more of Garn, though. I like that they did.
Damn right, I love that.
The thing about Fisto as well, like Fisto being
I thought that was pretty interesting too.
We've got okay, so here we go. So you can see where they've connected this for one of the most memorable mini comics. Stridor, Fisto's Targan war stallion, cannot be matched by any steed in all Eternia. Upon Fisto's inauguration as an ally to King Randor and the kingdom, the sorceress transmutes Stridor into a part armored horse, part bionic fighting steed, with a head and body encased in armor and legs now transformed from muscle and flesh to Eternium, the strongest metal in all of the universe. He is now endowed with strength and endurance unmatched by even most of Skeletor's war machine. Note, Eternium has the power to repel neutron laser blasts and cannot be penetrated by lance or sword. Stridor has also been endowed with a laser gun built into the armored mantle behind the saddle. Yeah, much like the toy. Dragon Walker, a powerful assault. It's just like talking about the vehicles now.
Did he up the speed of Dragon Walker in this version, or is he still slow as fuck?
Yeah, noted as being the slowest of He-Man's vehicles, and will take 4 hours to do what 10 minutes of walking.
Could you imagine that? Yeah, I could
That'd be
picture
great if that was there. Yeah, I feel like, okay, at least they're being honest. So yeah, that was like the really rather random season 2 kind of Bible.
That was really awesome. Like I really wish we had gotten a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's it's like all that the She-Ra stuff that we uncovered a few years back. That stuff blew my mind. Where it's all those like stories like was it Thick as Water, where it's the one where King Randall's dying and She-Ra is the only one who can give him like a blood transfusion. It's like, oh my god, where's that episode? But they didn't all get made, unfortunately. But there was there was a bunch of episodes. I'm just going through my documents here. Yeah, because Seahawk Part 2. Well, there was the episode The Seahawk. Part 2 was originally going to be called Catcher's Revenge, as opposed to The Return of the Seahawk. Oh, this was interesting. Now, I noticed this the other day. This proves how much I'm reading a lot of this stuff. King Miro's journey was supposed to end with King Miro staying on Etheria, which I thought would have been like, oh, wow, that would have been a great ending to that episode, as opposed to, I mean, the ending of the episode was really lovely with Adora going, your heart flies. It's soaring, spirit, soaring, which was a lovely end to that episode. But yeah, King Miro staying around would have been pretty cool. The Red Knight was originally called the Black Knight, much cooler title. Yeah, just there was an episode called Enter the. Oh no, it was the Laughing Dragon was originally called Enter the Dragon, which would have been
yeah,
that'd have been a very.
God.
You'd be like, this is going to be the greatest episode ever. It's going to be a big tournament. Then this is Clash of Arms. Realised.
Thank God they changed that fucking title. Yeah.
It's about a dragon. Oh dear. It's like,
hey, I don't want to have another person shitting on Sorrowful on this podcast. Damn it.
Hey, he's good. Don't get me wrong. I like a bit of Sorrowful, but he's no Enter the Dragon. Put it that way.
Well, I'm not trying to say that he's better than Enter the Dragon, but I'll be damned.
Well, I think you just did. I think you just said. That sounded like you saying Enter the Dragon ain't got shit on the Laughing Dragon.
Well, no, I'm just saying. All right, you know what? Fuck you guys. I ain't
It's done, man. It's done. You said your piece, Tyler. You said your piece.
Well, did you have any other crazy shit that you were going to share? Or
I'll do the Duncan's Dilemma thing because that's a pretty cool episode that they didn't make. There's about I realised the other day reading through this stuff. There was about like
was this
20 different
one of the
versions
synopses that you were talking about as well?
They're here as well. Don't worry. We'll get to those.
Okay.
So. Yeah, there's an episode called Duncan's Dilemma. So this is what I love about this is it was literally written. These were all written around the same time, so this would have been like along the same time as Curse of the Spellstone, Shaking Stuff. So when you read it, you kind of get a real season 1 vibe because this would have been an episode that they were considering. It's just a premise. It's just a 4-page premise, but you can kind of think like, oh man, that would have been an episode. So Duncan's Dilemma, which I think was also called The New Man-at-Arms, which was a pretty shitty title. So, Man-at-Arms is on the maiden cruise of a fabulous new submarine-like vessel, the Water Wheel. This is an exploratory voyage to investigate previously uncharted sections of the Eternian Ocean. Accompanying him are Adam, Orko, Cringer, and Marcus, a cocky young science officer from the Eternian Science Works, which built the vessel. It's Man-at-Arms' birthday. Oh, but he's doing everything in his... Oh, it's the birthday episode, isn't it? It's Man-at-Arms' birthday, but he's doing everything in his power to ignore it. He's not particularly happy at the prospect of growing another year older. I bet he'd be like something like 44 or something. Like, oh, Christ, he's the same age as me. Suddenly, they receive a distorted call for help on their radio. The triangulation coordinates indicate it to be coming from a vast undersea cavern nearby. Marcus advises caution. It could be a trap set by Skeletor's forces. It would only take a few minutes for Marcus to run the voice through the voice analyzer to try to identify it and ascertain if it is lying. But Man-at-Arms is unfamiliar with this machine. And besides, there may be no time. The voice sounded desperate. They enter the cavern and surface and find a huge grotto of trapped air inside a mountain. They disembark to look for the person in distress, leaving Cringer and Orca aboard the water wheel. They are ambushed by Merman and Evil Lyn. Man-at-Arms tries to use his stun ray, but slips. The ray falls? Yeah, the ray falls and knocks loose a rock, which falls on Adam, knocking him unconscious. Oh, crap. Merman and Evil Lyn escape with their prey, the water wheel. Oh, so they were after the water wheel. Unfortunately, Cringer and Orko happen to be aboard. As Man-at-Arms tends to the unconscious Adam, he berates himself. This is all his fault. First, his hasty judgment about answering the distress call, and then his accident with the stun ray. Marcus, none too diplomatically, suggests that Man-at-Arms is getting too old to function effectively.
Too old for that shit, yep.
Yeah, and that he's Danny Glover.
So this is basically like the story of Joe Amato and his old man brain and how it's gradually deteriorating.
Pretty close.
So, Marcus, getting too old to function effectively, and that he should retire. Man-at-Arms didn't want to admit it, but he was thinking the same thing himself. He sends Marcus into one of the caves to look for some way to the surface. He stays with Adam. Meanwhile, after a brief comic chase aboard the water wheel, Evil Lyn and Merman have captured and secured Orko and Cringer. These two will be a bonus surprise to deliver to Skeletor along with the water wheel. Back in the grotto, Man-at-Arms tries in vain to rouse Adam. Suddenly, a beautiful mermaid named Gabriella surfaces in the subterranean pool. This is very fortuitous. She has miraculous healing powers and is able to revive Adam. She also is able to track the water wheel and offer. This is the best story thing ever. She's also able to track the water wheel and offers to lead them to it if they will follow her. Adam professes not to be able to swim well enough, but tells her that there is another named He-Man who is also trapped along with them. He will be there shortly and is a strong enough swimmer to catch Gabriella. They insist that she go ahead. No sooner does she disappear that Adam draws his sword and becomes He-Man. Donning Man-at-Arms' aqua talkie device, which allows him to breathe and talk underwater, he follows Gabriella. Meanwhile, Man-at-Arms bears Marcus crying for help. He races into the cave to find the young man trapped under a massive fallen boulder. Marcus is desperate. There is no way Man-at-Arms can lift the boulder, but remembering Archimedes' principle, Man-at-Arms is able to set up a large... It's quite funny, in a lot of the story, well, no, not a lot, there's a few stories which they keep going back to the Archimedes principle of levering a device to, but it's like Robbie London maybe, or Paul Dini, or one of the early writers, just really wanted to get this into a script. Setting up a large, using a piece of driftwood. This scientific common sense enables him to lift the boulder enough for Marcus to scamper to safety. He-Man and Gabriella catch up to the water wheel. He-Man furrows his way into the vessel and defeats Merman and Evil Lyn. But back at the grotto, Man-at-Arms and Marcus have serious trouble. The tide is rising quickly up the shore and the grotto, and soon will drown them. This is not good. Marcus is convinced that all is lost, but Man-at-Arms refuses to give up. If only there was some way to contact He-Man. That's when he notices quartz in the walls of the grotto. This script is full of thank God for that. Working quickly, he uses a piece of the crystal in conjunction with batteries from his stun ray to rig up a makeshift transmitter.
He's fucking MacGyver.
He calls for help, hoping He-Man has retaken the water wheel and can receive his message. He-Man does receive the message, but he is too far away to get there in time. There is only one hope: for He-Man to be propelled from the pressurized missile silo of the water wheel as a human torpedo. They would have had the He-Man theme playing on this. Get at the torpedo, He-Man! That's exactly what He-Man does, shooting through the water at hundreds of miles an hour and dying back to the grotto. He gets there just in time to blast a hole in the rock well to divert the rushing tide from Man-at-Arms and Marcus and carry them to higher ground to await Orko and the water wheel, which is coming to pick them all up. Marcus apologizes to Man-at-Arms. It was Duncan's quick thinking, ingenuity, and scientific knowledge which saved the day. And Man-at-Arms feels reassured that he is not too old to make heroic contributions. Meanwhile, He-Man is dead because he travelled at 100 miles an hour through the water. So, what are you going to do?
Seems old people aren't worthless. He can actually do something. God bless him. A year older and a year wiser. Isn't that what they say?
Something like that.
Oh, I think of the line from Dumb and Dumber.
It's just something
quoted directly.
Oh, about when that old lady had the hold onto the stuff or some shit with newspaper.
Don't you go dying on me.
Yeah.
No, no matter what they say about old people, he said
they still serve a purpose.
Yeah, they still serve a purpose. I can't
believe it. Behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose.
I was robbed by an old lady in a motorized cart.
I didn't even see it coming. Son of a bitch. Oh, Christ. James, that was some good shit. I don't know which one I'd want you to animate, you and Deucin and everybody else. Maybe you could do the one with Garn. Maybe
I don't think Deucin would want to animate any more than he has to.
Yeah,
let's not put that on him.
Do like a shot of setting up Garn as King of Targo, with Fisto in the on the grounds as well, or something. I just kind of like that
Easter egg in the background. Do it. Easter egg in the background. Return of Faker. You'll see a panning shot of Garn in the background with Fisto. You got to do some shit. That'd be fucking awesome, James. Right there. You heard it.
That would be pretty good. I'm not going to deny that. That would be pretty good, actually. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that shit on there. Get Grimbot on there. You heard this, Grim? If you're watching, you fucking get on that. It's gonna be awesome. Nice.
I just
Easter
feel
egg
like in the
background.
chat you're just going to see the word no.
Yeah,
Well, if he does it, he's got to get in my cameo Lizard Man. So I've already been championing that beforehand. So I got to get my Lizard Man cameo in first.
And then you got to put all of us in there too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
it is.
Well,
it is possible.
I'm already going to be in the cartoon anyway, so I don't need to be in it.
Is this your way of trying to say that you're He-Man again? 'Cause, like,
Well, I think I'm
I'm gonna say it every time you have me introduce the show, just to piss you guys
See,
off.
guys, they've already animated me, so I'm very gracious. So
Newt can no longer do the intro to the show.
Ever.
I should be doing she is the permanent introduction to the podcast from here on out.
No.
I have spoken.
No,
I'm like, I have spoken.
no.
Oh, Grim just popped
Does
in.
anybody
He said,
else know who Alm is? I just made a reference to the arena. Does anyone know who that is?
To who?
Alm. I know James.
Oh, I know
does.
who Om is.
I'm just asking if anybody else does anyone else know who Alm is? I'm just curious. I expect Joe not to know, so it's all back on you, Rebecca.
God,
But it's okay if you
Well,
don't.
I'm not gonna know.
is that a Conan thing? I don't know.
Get the hell out of here.
Okay, there. I don't know. Let me think.
Of course you don't. You know what? Moving on
It's
here.
driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy. Tell me,
It's from the arena.
Irina.
The
Thank
first
you.
appearance of General Tataran, you know.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought you said
Tell me,
almonds.
it's crazy.
All right.
I said, jackass.
And we go back to food.
Yeah, so
every time.
Grimbot, you know what? We were waiting for his response, and I was saying, yeah, it'd be cool to put that in there and have a cameo or whatever, Easter egg in the background. But he said, what? So you could sue us, Joe? No, I wouldn't sue. This isn't my idea. It's a great thing. You
True.
put that in the background. It's an Easter
It's already
egg.
been established that Joe cannot afford lawyers. So
I
do what
can't
you need
sue
to do.
for shit. But James, I don't know if you had any other shit or things you wanted to share, because I was gonna say before we get into other stuff, Rebecca, you've never had a chance to really talk with James before, and I didn't know if you had any questions you want to say
We
to him
talked
because.
a little bit on chat like a while ago about my cousin.
Well, this is the first time with voice. I figured you could say something. Ask him a question.
I'll
Give him
just say
shit,
one thing
something.
before.
I want to hear more about the movies that would have happened. I really
Oh,
want
that's
to
what
hear
I'm
about
about to
that.
read. But I was
Oh,
going
that
to
is
say,
all right.
yes.
I want to see Joe's old man brain forgot that we still have
I'm, like,
a few
eagerly
other
awaiting
things
that.
that we got to talk about.
James is like, that's all I got.
So
I
these
can't remember.
would have been before Secret of the Sword, right?
Oh yeah, this is is there a date on this? There might be. Oh, we'll wait for Tyler to come back. While we're waiting, I just want to give Rebecca a shout out because, like, I got in touch with her a while back because she was like her awesome customs, and I was like, holy cow, yeah, great custom figures.
Thank
That was
you.
just amazing. Like, I always love seeing customs. Obviously, you know, Joe's an old pro at it, and there are a lot of.
Hey,
you know,
Rebecca,
great-
let me say something.
Emphasis
Hey,
on old.
No, I gotta mention something, Rebecca. You better take that compliment he gave you to heart and really enjoy it, because all the years that we've talked, he's never said, "Hey, Joe, you know you do some great fucking customs." He never said that to me until right now. This is some bullshit, but he says it to Rebecca instantly. You do great customs, Rebecca. None for me. Oh, what the fuck's going on here? That's it.
Joe,
I'm
you're
leaving.
not a pro, man. You don't need praise.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Like, you can do-
Exactly.
you know, like when you're doing really good, when you know, certain companies, you know,
Yeah.
just, you know, we don't need to say any more than that.
Yeah.
Hey, let me just
Sorry.
say, man, nobody would ever copy me, Cat. You know what I mean?
Oh,
that
yeah,
ain't gonna
yeah,
happen.
exactly.
Ain't
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
happen.
You know, you're doing great when certain companies, you know, have very similar ideas. But you know,
Hey, I was gonna say, JMac77 in the chat said, "This is awesome. It's like an English ASMR, Masters of the Universe bedtime story." The way you were speaking, you know, they got the ASMR videos where people
oh, I
talk.
see. So in other
right?
words, my voice sends people to sleep.
Well, it's like every time that you come on to read stuff, I always imagine just going back to being 4 or 5 years old and being tucked into bed, and you know something great's gonna happen, and then the Reverend sits down in front of you and just starts lulling you to sleep.
That's what I do. I send you to sleep, Nathan.
Well, hey, JMac, if you're tired, get rid
Not
of
out
this.
of
He's gonna
boredom,
read
just
another
out of
thing here.
comfort.
No, out of comfort. That's what I'm saying. Like, Hey Nathan,
It's
how
like
you
the
doing?
storybooks.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the Golden Book storybooks back in the day.
Well, you want me to
listen what
after each page go blown blown or something like that?
Do that.
So,
Do
someone
that.
in the chat was like, "I'm expecting to hear that noise."
Oh, did they
as
say
you're reading
that?
the story.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Well,
they
you
did.
got to do it now, James. Every time you go to the next page, you got to make that sound and try to do some kind of voice that's a little exciting, or
Oh,
however
God.
that fucking narrator did it.
Okay, so Rebecca asked an interesting question. Said this is before Secret of the Sword. It's like, yeah, most definitely. This was, but I think this is even in the earliest stages of. I get the feeling, looking at, I think there's a date here that I'm looking at, which is the. Oh God, no, it can't be right. Hang on. I think the date this may have been written in like late 1982 or during 1982. Something
What
like
make
that.
you think that? Does it say 8-2 there? Is that
Well,
what makes
it's got a code on the bottom which is 8243. So it's either the third, because they often do that. They code their scripts. You read the numbers backwards, so it'll be the 3rd of April or the 4th of March.
4th of March.
82. So it's really hard to know. But I mean, that seems awfully early in the stage of because they hadn't even done the proper series Bible at that point. So I don't know, maybe it's like 82, but I tell you this, I think this was written around about or before the same time as the bumper for the greatest adventures of all. Yeah, so because I've got that script, which I can't remember. Tyler, you remember like my trivia for that, but with the greatest adventures of all, I've often said that the other episode was supposed to be Song of Solis or Dawn of Dragoon.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the script I've got, and there was like 4 episodes they were originally planning. So it was, yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So this is what they were this is very early on production. This is whilst they're working on the very earliest parts of the He-Man series, and they're like, so. Obviously this does come after the series Bible because it references certain things in there, but I think there's a lot of things in here that, well, I mean, some of the names you'll be like, what? But let's go for it. And also there'll probably be people going, Sam, you need to illustrate these characters because we've got 3 characters that.
Are we going to have brand new names that you're going to struggle with, James, like Valenia, Vivilla,
No, these are very easy. These are very there's
say that now.
Joiner.
Well, we got like 3 syllables, 2 syllables, 3 syllables. I should be okay with
All right,
this. Okay.
I'm counting on you,
James.
James.
Say the names of the people in the chat room, so he's got no room to be shitting on anybody about it.
Whoa, are we talking about
true.
Porris or Porris Bolin and Porrick and
Paulrick.
Paulrick, yeah. I
Paulrick.
call him PB for short. But go ahead, James. Give us the good voice, and don't forget the dun dun. Don't forget it.
God, I'll try. Okay, so it says at the top, proposed He-Man feature outline. And then it's got pre-title sequence. Yep, pre-title sequence. Whew. So we open at dusk in a misty, eerie primordial. Oh, God, how does it start like
Holy
that?
fuck, can't say primordial.
Already
Primordial.
fucking up, James.
That's it.
Jeez.
Fuck it. Send me
It's like the Golden
this
Books,
thing
right?
right
That's
now.
how
I'm going to read
starts.
it.
It's just the guy who goes, in eternity, oh, fucked it up again. Right. Primordial. It's an easy word. We open at don't start laughing, please.
I mean, to be fair, it is. It's what 1 a.m. your time. So
20 past 1.
He's
God,
sleepy.
yeah.
You know, he's
That's
he's
the excuse
delusional.
we use. I'm a bit
Yeah,
sleepy.
there we go. Drunk. I don't know.
No. So we open at dusk in a misty, eerie, primordial forest. The evil sorceress Elektra. So Elektra, first new character. The evil sorceress Elektra and her fearsome 5-armed ally Pentacle have come to this planet.
That.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Have come to this planet on a critical mission for their leader, the all-powerful Star-Lord. Elektra points a surveying instrument toward the heavens and announces that the stars are in perfect alignment. Which, if you go back to like the Cosmic Comet, that's the exact dialogue they use for the stars are in perfect alignment. You know, it's all things are borrowed from everywhere. This is the night which has been foretold. We learn that the Star-Lord's mystic seers, that's actually the words SEE-ERS, the seers, almost like mystics, have warned him that there is but one person in the universe who will one day constitute a challenge to the Star-Lord's ceaseless conquest of the galaxies. These seers do not know the form of this challenge nor its outcome, but they do know who this person is. He is now only a child on the planet Eternia, the son of the Queen and his Earth bride. The Seers have also decreed that the Star-Lord has just one chance to eliminate his future nemesis tonight. Oh, so one chance tonight. So he has sent Elektra and Pentacle to destroy the young prince, and for all so that he will not live to challenge the Star-Lord. So obviously the Star-Lord's said, right, we need to kill this young kid because he's going to grow up to be a challenge. Meanwhile, the child, Prince Adam, and his pet tiger cub, Baby Cringer, have wandered off from a picnic. They have been lost in the evergreen forest for several hours, and now that night has fallen, they are very frightened. Elektra and Pentacle leap from the bushes. Elektra transforms into a hideous serpent and attacks Adam and Cringer, but suddenly there is a mysterious dimensional warp. An Orko appears out of thin air. The little alien had been experimenting with his magic and accidentally wound up on Eternia, and none too soon. For it's great. This is written by Robbie London because stuff like "and none too soon" is like what the sorceress says in The Greatest Adventures of All. So as I'm reading this, I'm like picking out certain phrases. For he is able to save Adam and Cringer from Elektra and Pentacle and lead them back to the royal palace. As the first rays of the sun crack the horizon, Elektra and Pentacle must return to their master, having let the only opportunity to destroy Adam slip through their fingers. The Star-Lord's fury will be awesome. Now he must begin to prepare for the day when this Prince of Eternia will challenge him. But how can a mere mortal pose a threat to the one with the powers and forces of the Star-Lord? Have the Seers erred? That's what it says here. Have the Seers erred? And that's just the pre-title sequence. Roll main title. Possibly, this is pretty cool. So possibly over a montage of Adam growing into adulthood.
That would have been awesome.
Oh,
and it says, here we go, 18 sun cycles later. Adam has grown into a handsome and likable young man. He is a gifted athlete and has a good heart, but he seems to lack motivation and a sense of responsibility. Man-at-Arms, Adam's teacher, never ceases to be amazed at Adam's ability to grasp a new concept or new skill, and never ceases to be disappointed at Adam's priorities. And never ceases to be disappointed at Adam's priorities, parties and games as opposed to affairs of state. When Adam fails to show up for so many things this end up in like so many of the later series. When Adam fails to show up for the royal pageant, it is the last straw, and the king loses his temper with his son. Later, an argument ensues. Angry words are exchanged between father and son. The king wishes Adam were more of a prince. Adam responds that he never asked to be a prince and just wants to lead a normal life. Adam storms from the room and packs his bags. He leaves the royal palace. That is when the invasion begins. The tyrannical Star-Lord has set his sights on Eternia as his next conquest. Although Eternia's technology is highly advanced, her defenses are no match for the overwhelming forces of the Star-Lord. Blow, blow. I haven't done that yet. Adam is on the road when the invasion occurs. His first thoughts are for his parents. He courageously breaks through the enemy blockades and makes his way back to the palace. He is in time to see his parents brutally led away in chains and teleported to the Star-Lord's slave star. That's a pretty cool title for a thing.
That is a cool title.
That's cool. Adam tries heroically to intercede, but barely escapes with his life. However, not before Man-at-Arms, now a prisoner of the Star-Lord's forces, manages to get word to him. Man-at-Arms tells Adam of a legendary castle, a place of incredible power and sorcery. No one knows where it is, or even if it really exists, but its powers may be the only hope of turning back the Star-Lord and saving Eternia. Adam vows to find this Castle Grayskull, not just for the sake of Eternia, but to rescue his parents, whom he had come to realize that he loves more than anything in this world. So Adam and Cringer set off on a quest to find Castle Grayskull. The search it's past tense, so I'm guessing this kind of wraps up here. The search will take them to the varied locales on Eternia, and even to the fairy tale land of Trolla. Oh, pretty cool. Where he will seek the help of Orko, the little alien magician who saved him so many years before. Oh, wow. I haven't read this in a while. He will encounter, bear in mind, this is a pretty epic movie. He will encounter characters such as the Widgets, Granomir the Dragon, and others as he undergoes adventures which will eventually lead him to the drawbridge of Castle Grayskull and the Sorceress of Grayskull herself. And there And there and then he will receive the power of Grayskull and become He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. For it is only He-Man that Adam will be able to confront his ultimate destiny, a cataclysmic battle with the Star-Lord, in which the fate of the universe hangs in the balance. So obviously, yeah, they're big on Star-Lord. He was a great toy. So yeah.
God, that sounds wonderful.
That was epic.
Why not just they could have taken that and used it and made something new out of this, and I think people probably would have been more receptive to it than what.
But this thing, like, with all due
did.
respect to those at Filmation, at Mattel and everything, they don't know about this stuff, let alone care about it. Even if they have this stuff on file.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, you look at NBC Universal, they have the entire cartoon library of He-Man and She-Ra, who is currently upscaling episodes and restoring them to the original speed, original colours. A guy in Serbia, by himself. You know what I mean? That's a Dusan, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know. That's just, what does that? That tells you everything you need to know about the corporations and stuff. The corporations. There's another feature script. If you want me to read that,
sure.
Definitely.
That last one, I'm still like, God, I'm like quite fascinated with those 3 new villains, and
that would have ruled. That would have been great.
So fucking awesome.
So this one seems to be a little bit more. Yeah, this one is like a full premise. So this is like from start to finish. Okay, Masters of the Universe feature. So this isn't a proposed feature. This is a feature. We open deep in space, sometime in the future. Earth astronaut Marlena Glenn is in trouble. Her space shuttle has been swept off course in an asteroid shower. Losing power, she is forced to make an emergency landing on a strange and foreboding planet, Eternia. Eternia's young King Randall and his loyal man-at-arms Duncan witness the crash landing. They are able to pull the beautiful Earthwoman from the fiery wreckage just before it explodes. So begins an amazing chain of events foretold in the Eternian legend, events of such scope that the fate of the universe lies in the bounds. Filmation and Mattel present a full-length motion picture chronicling the saga of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Our story continues as the main title credits roll. Behind the credits, we see a montage showing King Randall's courtship and marriage to Marlena, Queen Marlena cradling her young son Adam, Adam growing up with his pet tiger cub Cringer, and Duncan's daughter Teela. Adam and Teela have reached adulthood as the credits end. The demonic Skeletor has been waiting in another dimension, expanding his empire and biding his time. Now he is ready to act. He gathers together his lieutenants, Merman, the wicked ruler of the waterways, Beastman, the ferocious commander of creatures, and Evelyn, the witch sorceress. Previous rivals, Skeletor is able to unite these forces to form an alliance. Their goal, domination of Eternia. Meanwhile, to his parents' dismay, Prince Adam has grown up to be less than princely. His natural charm never fails to win the hearts of those around him, but he is lacking responsibility and is disinterested in affairs of state. Adam's childhood friend Teela has become the captain of the Royal Guard. She tries to show Adam the folly of his ways, but in vain. Adam seems destined to remain happy-go-lucky and irresponsible. But events are unfolding which will soon change the course of his life. Deep in the forest within the walls of the mysterious Castle Grayskull, 2 mystic figures, debate Adam's future. One is the sorceress, caretaker of the castle and its magical secrets. The other is Zodak, the judge of the cosmos. That's a pretty bold moniker, bloody hell. Yeah. It had been foretold centuries ago that the fate of Eternia would one day meet in the hands of the son of an Earthwoman and an Eternian king. Only he would be able to save the universe from an onslaught of evil. Adam is the chosen one. He is to receive a very special power. The sorceress feels that it is now time for Adam to receive this power. Zodak objects, feeling that the boy is too irresponsible and not ready, but he reluctantly yields to the sorceress. Adam is summoned to Grayskull and told of his destiny, that through the magic of the sorceress, he is to be granted the ability to become He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. At the same time, his cowardly pet tiger Cringer will turn into the mighty Battle Cat. Adam returns to the palace and shares his great secret with Man-at-Arms. Adam feels a sorcerer. That's a bit of a bizarre stretch. Adam feels a sorcerer will be helpful in his fight against evil and calls his childhood friend the tiny wizard Orko back to Eternia. Orko pledges to keep Adam's secret and use his magic to help. Just then, Skeletor, working with his new allies Evil Lyn, Beastman, and Merman, attack the palace. He-Man's sudden appearance confounds the evil warriors who have never seen a hero like him. He-Man drives them away, becoming almost heady with his new power. Zodak appears and tells He-Man that he has abused the power by becoming too violent. The Judge of the Cosmos adds that Adam is not aware of the responsibilities that must... Oh, wow. Sorry, I've just remembered this next bit. The Judge of the Cosmos adds that Adam is not aware of the responsibilities that must accompany great power. Zodak then removes He-Man's power from Adam. As the evil warriors retreat back to Snake Mountain, Skeletor demands to know from his sides where He-Man could get such incredible power. Evil Lyn tells him that only Castle Grayskull could supply such might. So, muses Skeletor, whoever controls Castle Grayskull controls this He-Man. Not only would he control He-Man, but all of Eternia as well, Evil Lyn responds. Then I will conquer Castle Grayskull, Skeletor. Meanwhile, Adam, chagrined with the loss of his power, morosely wanders in the evergreen forest with Cringer. They run into Teela, who is on her way to aid the Widget people in a crisis. While exploring a new vein in their gem mine, the dwarf-like Widgets have accidentally freed a huge subterranean monster. Adam is nearly attacked by the monster, but is pulled to safety by the brave Widgets. The young prince returns the favour by bravely defeating the monster away. Although given the opportunity to kill the beast, Adam shows compassion and respect for life, choosing to let it flee. Zodak then appears and commends Adam for this humane act. Now Adam is truly ready to wield the power of He-Man. Meanwhile, at Snake Mountain, Skeletor has gathered many more accomplices, including Trapjaw, Triclops, and Clawful. At a big meeting with all the evil warriors present, Skeletor plots the conquest of Castle Grayskull. First, he must lure He-Man away from Eternia, and what better bait than to use King Randall himself? Adam and Teela have returned to the palace and are getting ready for the annual Tournament of Triumph. It's pretty cool, huh? An Olympic-style event, drawing the greatest warriors and athletes from all over the planet. In the height of the celebration, Skeletor's warriors make their move and seize the king. Randor is whisked away and imprisoned in Snake Mountain. But He-Man and Orko make a daring rescue mission to free the king from this evil dungeon on the dark side of the planet. Orko's magic combined with He-Man's strength overcome the demonic creatures and evil traps guarding the king, and they are able to spirit him away. At Castle Grayskull, Skeletor and his warriors have combined their sinister magic to defeat the sorceress. They are about to take over the castle when He-Man arrives with his allies, Teela, Man-at-Arms, Orko, Ram-Man, and Stratos. Stratos.
Yeah, for fuck's sake.
A mammoth battle ensues, culminating when...
It was almost perfect until that happened.
Fuck off,
Sorry,
A mammoth battle ensures, culminating when He-Man is able to turn the full cosmic power of the castle on Skeletor and his evil minions. They are swept away by a wind of pure energy pouring forth from the heart of Grayskull and scattering them about the cosmos. But Skeletor has escaped. He-Man follows his... Oh, wow. Okay, this is pretty cool. He-Man follows his rival to the Skull Star, Skeletor's massive orbiting fortress of evil, shaped like a skull. Very interesting reading that. Nordor, yeah. It's very interesting seeing that in this early stage. Inside, it's one-on-one as He-Man and Skeletor rage through the floating city, locked in a battle of strength versus sorcery. He-Man finally succeeds in capturing Skeletor, and remembering Zodak's lesson, spares the life of his enemy by pulling him from Skull Star just before it explodes. He-Man is taking his place as the champion of Eternia, and peace is restored to the planet. Almost feels like the end, but yeah, this was like a very early...
God, brilliant.
If they want to make a live-action movie again, or whatever they're trying to do, take one of those ideas. It's right there.
No, because the best way to make a He-Man movie is set him on Earth with amnesia, and it's a comedy. Easy. That's what we want as fans. You know it. I'm pointing to the camera. You know it. Everybody watching this video, you want that fucking thing. Admit it. You fucking want it. Yeah.
God.
You don't want barbarians and sorcery and all the stuff that brought us to the dance. You want a comedy about an amnesic man who's given the power of Grayskull.
Oh, no.
That's what we want. Bring it on.
Fish out of water bullshit and stumbling
Fish out
into...
of water. It's the classic story. Or, do you know what? I think a really good thing is make He-Man and Skeletor brothers, because I don't think they've done a very successful billion-dollar franchise involving two characters that are brothers in about 20 years, unless you count like Thor and Loki. But nobody knows about them. Like that's barely even registered on pop culture. Oh, sorry, sarcasm really doesn't come through, does it? Sometimes. But that's what I think of you sometimes, Hollywood. You don't know what you're doing.
Christ almighty.
So if you want my opinion on a future He-Man movie, we've already got it. There you go.
Where's Orko? Do you have your Orko puppet? We gotta have Orko and what he thinks about this stuff too.
I don't even know where he is.
Oh, come on.
Let me just
come on, James.
Oh, we know where he's at. He's off doing it.
Yeah, you gotta go get him. It's tradition around here.
That's a staple of the show. We gotta have the Orko.
We do have a lady present, she knows what it's all about. She knows how the show is. Oh, yeah, there we go.
What, Orko, what do you think about all the Hollywood people working on the stuff? Are they a bunch of what? You know, maybe you can make the motion of what they possibly are? We can see.
I've got to help him make the motion, haven't I? What do you think of them, Orko? Oh, God. Can I do this out of shot? I tell my idea. I've got...
I love that freaking puppet. See, when you threw it,
That's what he thinks of Hollywood.
He's just tossing off with the
That's what he's doing. He was doing that, and then like
that's where the real magic is.
That's where you ain't kidding. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, joking aside, it's the He-Man movie. Someone even asked me a question on Instagram yesterday, like, "Oh, have you heard the latest rumor about the He-Man movie?" And I said, "Look, bless you, it's I won't even pay attention to anything. I won't pay attention to directors announce, writing announce, casting announce. I will get excited and start talking about a movie when we see the first set photo.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no point. Like we've been We've been hearing about He-Man movies since I think we went back to 2004 or 5 when it was John Woo.
Is that when I got to update my meme every year? Remember my meme about the movie every year? Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's just and it's the problem. I mean, people think like the latest He-Man stuff, which is true, it deviates from what we know He-Man to be. It's like you think a movie's going to be even remotely close to what we want it to be.
Yeah, and they won't get it.
Yeah, it's going to be.
People are so enthusiastic about that, and yet what you said is everyone's reaction. They think we're going to get the quintessential He-Man. For like, fuck no, we're not. Everyone's taking liberties with all the properties. Nobody is getting a clean cut version of something adapted to screen anyway. It just doesn't happen.
The hardest part of that to swallow is that it would be so easy to do. The stories that weren't used,
that's the insulting
that
part.
James just read.
It's
pick
already
one
there.
of those. Make the movie. That's all you have to do. And they.
The other thing as well is you've got a wealth of like hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of stories written that you could easily turn into a movie. I'm not saying like take an episode and turn it into a movie. I'm not that silly, but I'm saying there's all that material. It's like writers were able to do this in the 80s, create stories, create story arcs, whatever. They were able to do this. Mini comics, UK comics, Filmation, whatever. They're able to create stories. I don't see how hard it is to take that material and go, right, let's turn this into a movie. Like, as much as I dislike the 87 movie, they still made a movie about He-Man. Yeah, it kind of deviated in so many ways, but the ideas they have for movies now are just like, I don't understand what you're doing. And I mean, it's the problem that's Hollywood's problem all over, isn't it? It's not a bunch of people with passion writing a film. It's a bunch of executives making sure that we need to tick this box, do that, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that. Yeah, but why? It's like you need to have a reference. We need to have a character called Coca-Cola, and it's like why? It's like because we've got Coke branding in this movie.
It's all about the analytics of everything and like the demographics and doing that. But if you make something that's good and quality, everybody will gravitate towards it and like it no matter what. I would feel like, but what do we know? That's why we're not the suit and ties, right?
That's what I said earlier, like going back to what I said earlier about the Filmation cartoon. I said 10 years from now, it will still be the one thing that people recognise as He-Man and She-Ra, and and I'm not saying that because I'm like the Filmation thing speaks to me the most. It's because it's fact. It's the thing that advertisers use. They always go back to that Filmation thing because it's the most fondly remembered version of He-Man. Am I saying it's the best? Not at all. Like in my eyes, it's the one I prefer the most. I really like it. But as I've said before, I love the Tex era mini comics. I love the UK comics. I love this, that, and the other. But the fact that Filmation always keeps coming up as like the go-to, and yes, maybe it has something to do with like memes or whatever, but it's still the defining thing. It's still the one thing that keeps coming back, and it's because there was something about the show, and like at its core, I've always said it has so much heart about it. There was a bunch of writers that weren't just writing a kids' cartoon, that were going, okay, well, let's see what we can do with this. And, you know, season 2, even season 1's evident of that. There was a bunch of passionate writers, animators, directors, producers, whatever, trying to make something special. And it's the reason why people love, you know, no disrespect to those that voiced Skeletor since, but you know, obviously Mark Hamill's a different kettle of fish because it's Mark Hamill, but people are like, oh, let's get Alan Oppenheimer at every bloody convention, pop culture convention. He does so many these days because they want that Skeletor, like the one who had that voice. And it's the same, you know, everybody loves that Filmation show. And, you know, yes, I'm going to spout how much I like it all the time, but that it speaks to so many people. It's the one thing that people go, oh yeah, I love that music, or I love the Filmation logo, I love the He-Man, or I love I Have the Power, all these different things. And you know, when you think about like He-Man, if you say that to someone on the street, like, you know, maybe not completely on the street because you'd be arrested.
Joe
you say,
would do it.
You know, the word He-Man, of course Joe was. But no, you say it to anybody, and they'll think of like I Have the Power, but it won't be like, oh yeah, I loved I Have the Power in that one issue of the Marvel or DC comic. It would always be, oh yeah, I Have the Power from the cartoon. The cartoon was watched by probably, you know, it was definitely watched by millions of people, kids, whatever. But adults were watching it, college watching it. There's a great Doosan scene. I think I've got a report that Straczynski wrote, J. Michael Straczynski. In between season 2 of He-Man, or like during season 2 of He-Man and season 1 of She-Ra, where Straczynski goes to a comic convention, which is primarily attended by, you know, teens and adults in the 80s. This is like, you know, San Diego Comic-Con kind of thing. And he said, like, the amount of people that were coming up to him going, oh, I love that He-Man show, or I love this show. And he said, it's just like, wow, it kind of really caught him off guard, because he was like, yeah, we're doing this show that I think kids are watching, but we're aiming, you know, a more broader audience. And he said that people coming up to him at the show, like, just heaping praise on him. It's like, that's in the 80s, man. So it was obviously having an effect. And it's like I say, its effect has lasted. And why 10 years from now, you know, it sounds like a dick, but it's you know, anything post Filmation, like 2002 show, I really enjoyed that show, but it doesn't get enough love. And it's barely talked about. Where's that generation of kids that go, I love that show? Where are they? They don't exist because that show just didn't grab anyone. That's you know, and I think that show is like terrific for what it did. But yeah, sorry, I feel like I'm going on a crazy old man rant. I'm on my porch having a rant.
Well, I did want to say one quick thing. I noticed in the background, is your fucking thermostat broke or is it not on? Because I don't see a temperature, and it's driving me crazy with my OCD. Is there?
That's air conditioning. I've got air conditioning in every room.
Well, what's the temperature? I don't see nothing. What does it say on there?
19.
Okay, all right. Well, there. I'm sorry. I had an OCD problem. I really do have weird issues, and I was looking at the whole fucking time you were talking. Not that I wasn't paying attention to you, but I was like, "What's going on with this fucking thermostat?" Because I'm
he hasn't
roasting
heard a
in
word
here.
you've said these last. There we go. Yeah, bring it in. You feel better now, Joe?
I'm sweating my nuts off here, and I guess that's the thing. I was like, God, I'm fucking hot. I want to turn and I want to get it cold in here, and I'm looking at your thermostat. It just, I had like a flashback.
You know what?
I feel like I was in a war.
I'm gonna go, Joe. I'm gonna go on Amazon and I'm gonna buy you a fan. Would that help?
No, don't buy a fan.
Why?
So, no, I'm sorry, James. Didn't mean
I'm gonna
to
buy you a
rant, but
fan.
I'm sweating. I'm looking at that. All right. Well, look. Quickly, I was going to say, for anybody now, I know you guys did it earlier, but this is the part of the show with the Q&A. So if you have any questions for James that you want to hit him with or us, just start popping them in right now. And while you're doing that, James, did you have anything currently going on? I know you usually pop up a lot of eBay auctions. Are there any current auctions going on, or?
No, not at the moment. I did my most recent batch last week, and then I'm taking a month off of selling because it's quite an experience to do that. But it's like I'm selling. Everybody's like, "Why are you selling so much?" And it's like, because I'm living in a place that costs a fortune just for 2 years. So it's like I need to pay the rent. So I'm literally paying the rent by selling all my artwork. But bear in mind, it's artwork I would have sold anyway. So I'm quite.
What about anything with Serial Geek or any of your other books back in publication? Doing anything with that people can buy? Anywhere they can go? Buy some stuff, support you?
I'm in the process of it has been reprinted. I'm just waiting for them to ship to me the Terror Island mini comic. So that's on its way. The second print of that.
Okay.
Which is like the first one was on glossy paper, which is more like the later mini comics. This one's more of the kind of traditional stock, I believe. That's what was requested. That's more like your Slave City, Clash of Arms, those kind of mini comics. You have the glossy cover and then the paper pages.
Kind of like matte pages.
Matte pages. Yeah. So it's more like, yeah, that's hopefully what's happened. But yeah, so that's the next thing I think I'll be promoting heavily. I don't think there's anything else really.
What about your YouTube channel? You still working?
Oh yeah,
on,
I still want to. Yeah, something I still want to do at some point. I'm in that stage of, and I think it's one of those things where I'm putting it off. Maybe if I just went and did it, it'd be good. But I keep thinking I really want to get because my Photoshop is from 2002. That's how old my Photoshop is. I'm using Photoshop from 2002. Yeah.
Shocker, Joe. You don't even have to put your hand up. We already know, Joe.
I did expect that. But it's that thing of like my Photoshop is now starting to, it crashes on certain times. I have to really kind of control save all the time. But ideally I want to get, I need a new laptop because this laptop is now 5 years old, which in laptop terms is a year past its sell-by date.
I won't even mention my laptop, but yeah, I feel you with that, man. I hope you do get upgrades soon. And
that's the thing. I want to upgrade and then get probably. It's a money investment. Is get the whole Photoshop suite thing. Because obviously they don't just do Photoshop anymore. So you get. I need Premiere. Is it Premiere? Because I haven't used Premiere and After
Isn't
Effects.
it like a membership now to get Photoshop? Don't you have to have like a membership?
I think
they changed all of that shit to. It's like, oh, you got to subscribe to a year.
I'm never gonna. Yeah. I ain't gonna be paying them every fucking year or month. I got my Photoshop. I'm keeping this sucker until it just completely crashes to piss.
I ain't getting poor Joe.
It must be crazy.
He's just gonna be clutching onto that shit. You're gonna have to kill me to take it.
You sons of bitches, this is my Photoshop I grew up with. And
you're about what, 5-6 years from being that old, right, Joe?
Wow. Hey, fuck off! All right, Deep Down has a question for you, James. Okay. How do you get the accurate colors for Filmation?
That's Dusan can answer that question because that's all him.
Yeah, I remember he did that to me one time. Dushan said, I was coloring something, I don't know, and he's like, Joe, why don't you use P this? He was like giving these color combinations. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he was like, in Photoshop, Joe, they have every color has a number. I was like, I never knew that. I just tried to eyeball and color stuff. I was like, I didn't understand what the fuck he was talking about. But he knows, everything precisely from He-Man's boots.
Dusan is the one when it comes to colors. He's studied the Filmation kind of every single color and identified it. Like for the Return of Faker, and in general, Dusan created a color chart. But he's done that for all these different studios like Deke and studios like Toei Doga and all these studios that worked on stuff like G.I. Joe and Transformers. So he's done this amazing, all these different, I think he's done one for Nana as well, all these different color charts for each studio, but the Filmation one's ridiculously accurate.
That's why I don't like showing him any customs I do, and if I paint something, because I know he's going to say, oh, Joe, that's not the actual color there that his arm should be. It should be a different color. It's like, Jesus Christ, man, I'm just trying to do what I can with that paints. I'm mixing them. I can't get the exact thing. But, yeah, so he's a stickler for colors. God bless him. He's a good guy, but he annoys the fuck out of me. All right, now let's see. Ocean the Experience had a question, but he did he said he joined late, but he had a question. He said, what were your thoughts on Revelation? James gave it earlier. You have to catch it at the beginning, but thank you for that. Sean has a question. Said, loved you reading the cutting room floor stuff. Any chance we can get scans of that online someday?
Yeah, at some point. I mean, most of this stuff was given to me by, God, who was it at the time? A mixture of Robbie, London, and Erica back in the day. So it's one of those things where when I scanned them, I was sort of nah, don't really want. They were given to me as gifts, as it were. But I put loads of stuff. Someone on Twitter the other week was like, yeah, and this is no disrespect to that person who asked the question. It's like, yeah, I should put this stuff online at some point. But there was one guy on Twitter the other week. I was selling stuff. I was putting the eBay auctions up, and he's like, why don't you give people a chance to own iconic pieces? And I was like, well, I am, and I've been selling for 10 years. And then he was accusing me of just showing stuff and I was like, do you realize the series Bible online is because of me? Do you realize it sounds like I'm blowing my own trumpet, but it's like, I have provided so much stuff for this community.
Yes,
to say that I've been harboring it is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. It's like, I was like,
You're the complete opposite. You have shared more than I've ever seen anybody share of something.
Well, I think I can't remember if it's Dusan or Rob McCullum joined in. I said, I think it might be Rob McCullum. I said something about, yeah, you do realise there's a book from Dark Horse which literally contains all the best bits from my animation art collection and other bits that Emiliano had shared and others and Lee Clevenger had shared. So it's like, not exactly harbouring this stuff by putting it in a book. And bear in mind, like on my eBay sales over the last 5-6 years, whatever, I have sold pretty damn cool pieces of Skeletor, of Hordak. I recently sold my last Shadow Weaver sales. I like Shadow Weaver, but I'm not that invested in having a sell of her completely. So I sold that, and it's I think I am giving people the chance to own cool stuff, and also I think I think that's what I said when I took my silence from Revelation. I just said, I think I've earned the right to just not have to give my opinion all the time.
I got it. Okay, all right. Another question. Before that, I just seen your cat in the background there. Rebecca, what's your cat's name?
That's Sunny. I have 4 cats.
Oh. All right. I was waiting for the name. Did you say she doesn't have a tail?
She didn't have a tail.
What
happened
to her?
She was a foundling. I don't know. She was rescued. We found her. She had scabies and she was in pretty bad shape. But I don't know if she lost it or if she was born that way. But it's a little nugget that wiggles. It's so cute.
Well, she's just chilling in the background right now.
Hey.
And here she comes. Make sure she doesn't look at the screen and see me. She might go bananas and start fucking flipping out. Having some flashbacks of somebody that
just like the rest of us. Anytime anybody else sees you, I'm sure people do that in public with you all the time.
Oh, shit. All right. Zentron she's running up. I hear her crying. She's like, please don't. I don't want to look at this guy. No. She's looking.
Butterface.
Her eyes just got real wide for a second. How you doing? Do I creep you out? Yeah. Is that a calico?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Cute little shit. All right, Zentron has a question. Said, my question is to James and Joe. Would you two be up to doing a commentary with me for when I finished my 4K reproduction of The Dragon's Graveyard? Oh, hell yeah, I'd love it. Season 2 Dungeons and Dragons.
That's fine, Zentron. I know you don't want anybody else on the show. You want Joe. We get it. He's the star. That's fine.
Well, he didn't mean it like that. I'm just,
it's fine.
He knows I ramble about Dungeons and Dragons, and I think he remembers. Fucking James did a lot of. James knows all. Everyone's like, fuck off, but. I'm sure we could always do that, and I could keep the language clean.
Right. I could see that going down. The first little hiccup you have, you'd be like, fucking goddamn it, son of a bitch. I know how you are.
All right, Adam Gabbert was wondering if James, what are your thoughts and opinions of the new Masterverse figures that are available to purchase? I'm assuming, I don't know if you means have you bought them?
I'm not really much of a toy person, but I mean the figures. If we're talking about the ones that are based on the Revelation designs, isn't that great? It's like I would prefer to see those characters in toy form that actually look like the characters on screen, but these look like the He-Man. The head is an atrocious sculpt. Like, no disrespect to the person that did it, but it's just like yowza. I just those Revelation toys that did nothing for me, or have done nothing for me. But then I'm not much of a toy collector. Like I posted yesterday in my this big comic stroke toy shop in London, Forbidden Planet. They've got this whole,
I seen that picture you posted. That looked pretty damn cool.
It's amazing to look at. But in the post when I said, I even though I don't collect Origins, I got a bunch of messages people going, why don't you collect Origins? It's like, because I don't. But everything
is everything.
It's like it's bizarre. It's like I don't collect everything. Like I might, if I see the Origins Faker figure or the mini comic Traptor, I might get that. But then I thought that about the mini comic Triclops figure, and then I saw that and I was just like, no, I don't really.
I'm gonna show next week. I'm gonna get Orko.
I got Orko in the mail the other day.
He is cool. Yeah, you could get that one, but yeah, that Triclops, boy, I'm gonna show a comparison photo to those two of the regular Origins, and then that goofy. This is what the fans voted on. What, shitty paint because it's splattered everywhere? It is. It looks like they didn't give a fuck. I've never seen them do that with any of the figures so far. At least they're trying to show some love with the ones that are out there at the store and retail. But you figure if you're having an exclusive figure, you want to be meticulous about making it look as great as possible. They look like they just said, fuck it, literally. I've never seen such splatter. It looked like just shitty customizing. It looked that bad.
The only photos I've seen of that Triclops online, like I'm not exactly prevalent on social media these days, but when I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see photos of that Triclops, it's all about the bad paint job. It's like, oh, and you see like the underside, and it's like, oh god, what happened there? It's just
everything,
like
and they didn't even do the. Yeah, you figured they would have did a proper head, make it look like the mini comic. His skin, talk about now. That's the one time I'll agree with Grimbot. His skin complexion is completely different. It's like, why is he orange as fuck? He looks nothing like the mini comic. It's bizarre. I'll show comparisons. But all right, let's see the next question. Oh, first, Zentron wanted to thank you. He said thanks for the cells again. He has his unpacking video on YouTube, so he must have bought some. All right. Okay, Papa Hood 69 said, James, is the Faker in Return of Faker the same as the one that fell in the abyss, or different one altogether? So he probably has never watched it.
I didn't know the answer to that until we started working on the extra content, and then I was like, oh, I've kind of figured it out. So I'm not going to reveal it because that would spoil it, but I didn't know the answer to that. When people would ask me, I'd be like, yeah, but then when I decided to start doing this extra material, I was like, I think I've got a good idea. So yeah.
Well, thanks, Papa Huds. Cool ass question. We're gonna find out soon. Oliver Belmont, Mr. Eatock, upon writing for the Filmation Masters of the Universe, how did Queen Marlena know her son was He-Man? And what fitting progression do you prefer for Teela, being the new Man-at-Arms or the next Sorceress?
That's actually a really good question. What was the bit about Marlena? Like, how did she find out?
Yeah, like how did she know that her son was He-Man, or is that just something that obviously
I always just thought it was mother's intuition.
Yeah, I mean, it's what's implied in the Rainbow Warrior.
It's
not necessarily like how she found out.
Yeah, was it like a mother always knows her son? And then I think it was just something that a couple of the writers, I think it was primarily Bob Ford was the instigator of that, because he storyboarded the Energy Beast, which had Marlena saying, I think it's about time we recognized He-Man, don't you agree? And then does the side eye to Adam, which was in the Energy Beast. It's like, oh, does she know something? And then Bob Ford then later writes the Rainbow Warrior and has that whole thing, where she blatantly knows her son is He-Man. And obviously get the wonderful pickup of that story in the Lifetime's Star comic, where it was written by George Carragon, where Marlena and King Randall are imprisoned, and she tells King Randall she says that they clearly have the conversation, which our son is He-Man. So yeah, I don't think it was explicitly ever written down on paper. It's just something I think the writers slowly started to, or wanted to introduce. And yeah.
Right. And do you prefer? And he said you prefer Teela's progression being the new Man-at-Arms or the next Sorceress?
Always going to be the next Sorceress. I love that. Yeah, like her being, there was her destiny. It's the whole thing. It's what the Filmation series was building to some degree. It's like, yeah, we're going to make her the Sorceress. Like Teela's Triumph is such a beautiful episode. In parts, I mean, there's big chunks though, which are like, He-Man and Battlecat on a planet escaping lava, but at the same time you get all the wonderful Teela discovering the power of Grayskull, like her abilities and stuff like that. But I love the idea of Teela eventually becoming the Sorceress. Just that.
And by the way, the reason I got up, and I'm sure I'm going to see Made You Look, is because dipshit Grimbot said, Joe, for you, I just noticed that there was a roach on their wall and back of you. Well, I didn't know. I was like, what the fuck? Is there something crawling? Because I've had these big ass spiders falling on me. I thought maybe it was a spider come back. Fucking Grimbot. Damn it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so he got me. Prick.
Oh, wait.
Right,
No, hang on. You're not even going to read it. He said, question for Joe. I just noticed that roach on your wall. What do you call it?
I'm not talking to him. So anyways, A Simple Tricks and Nonsense has a question. Question for anyone that wants to answer. With the varying degrees of violence between the cartoons, comics, as adults now, how violent or gory or passive do you think a show or movie should be now? Well, I mean, for me, I think we can agree. I don't like anything just shock value. They do killing and murders and blood just to look what we did. We shocked the fuck out of you. What do you guys think? I mean, if you can make a story with something that makes sense as it progresses, okay, it's okay. But I still don't want over the top blood. If you mean something for Masters, I mean, I don't know if that's what you mean pertaining to, but I wouldn't even want to see that in Masters. I mean, you could have somebody like, break a fucking arm, something crazy, whatever. People getting beat up. You have, bruises, blood, but I don't need to be over the top, like slice them in fucking half, like in one of these comics, and you see the guts pouring out. It's like, nah, you can shove that shit down.
PG-13 would be best.
I think for me, it always comes down to people saying, "Oh, I want blood and guts." It's like, yeah, but do you want the guy who's given the power of Grayskull, whose sole purpose is not to misuse that power, suddenly stabbing, cutting, and killing? Because to me, you've lost all the sense of what. It was a famous quote from He-Man. I fight, only fight when I must, and each time I hope it is the last time. And it's like, that's great. That's all you need. He-Man, he's got his sword. You don't need to stab someone with it, because the moment you do that, that's when you lose the power of Grayskull. You stab someone, you've become, like in that script I read, Zodek's like, you've been misusing this power straight from the way. This is them in 1983 figuring out who He-Man was, going, yeah, if he misuses his power, it's going to be taken away from him. That's what, like the problem with power. Okay, it's an exaggerated version of events. Like I believe I've killed a man, I'm going to fling my sword into the abyss. It's done for dramatic purposes, but that is the Prince Adam, who is He-Man. He-Man's just the alias. Prince Adam is a guy who's given all this power, all this responsibility. That doesn't mean I've got the power of Grayskull, or I'm going to start cutting the fuck out of people. It's like, it doesn't work like that, man, because what makes you different to anybody? The whole reason you're He-Man is you're this champion for good. Otherwise, if you want to, honestly, if you want to watch a long-haired barbarian cutting through people, go and watch Conan. There's a fucking billion beautifully illustrated John Buscema Conan books, and that is your He-Man, and that is like, Conan is fantastic, and the Conan comics are just beautiful. Like all the stories, all the artwork are just that, and for people to want that, it's like, it's already there. It's called Conan. He-Man was never intended to be Conan in that sense. It was, let's make a blonde barbarian, and then, in the initial comics, he was savage and all this business. But then let's give him some character. Let's actually, like, when the Filmation series happened, it's like, let's actually have him as a guy who has all this power, but he uses it responsibly. And it comes back to the whole, with great power comes great responsibility. There's a reason that gets used, though. It's because it's a fucking great phrase that applies to so many heroes and stuff. Yeah, it can be misused and misconstrued or whatever, but He-Man is who he is. Everybody loves that Filmation He-Man because, yes, he's not going to punch a tree or whatever, and if there is a tree, it's already been fallen. It's that kind of stuff. But violence in a He-Man movie, I'd love to see him, like, punch and kick and stuff, but I think, like, when he starts stabbing stuff and, like, you can't have He-Man do that. Maybe you could have the henchman do that stuff. Like, maybe Beastman, like, cracks a whip.
That's
and,
what
like,
I was about to say. I think if you want to make a superhero like He-Man or Wonder Woman or Superman, a dark version of that, you need to make their world dark, but not them dark. They should always be that shining light in those situations.
That's why with the Zack Snyder Superman, when he, like, breaks the neck at the end, it's like, that's not the essence of that character. Yeah.
Fucking stupid.
I just don't get that universe. It's like, we're gonna have this character that's a beacon of hope and be the most miserable Superman we've ever seen. Just, I can't be doing with those movies. But I think what's going on? Is there a cat attack happening?
Is your cat attacking you?
My cord. She's been good this whole time.
Send her that Orko. She'll rip it to shit.
She would.
All right. Well, Tyrell had at least a question.
At least a question? What are you trying to say, Joe? That it asked a shitty question?
No, I didn't mean. I meant to say it was more of a comment, and it's towards Tyler and Newt, saying, "Hey, Tyler, I second your nomination for Newt, introing you as."
Come on, man! Why would you even read that? We do not need more people getting behind this movement. Joe, what?
Hey, gotta admit, it's not like I'm like parading around 24/7, like taking selfies of myself saying I'm He-Man in the gym and shit like
you
that.
should. Turn into the one that you hate at the gym. Turn into that, please. That would be hilarious.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I'm always gonna. I'm just like him. I will never become when I'm vowing to stop. I'm going to be the exact opposite of everything. No, fuck no. Those assholes on
It'll only be coming from Newt.
And she's never gonna do the intro again, so we don't have to worry about it. It's fine.
So now you're sexist. You're denying.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
I mean, now I'm gonna write my
No,
blog.
but see, Tyler's only doing that. He's only doing it because he wants to hear it. Oh, I'm He-Man. Oh God, yeah.
Hey, I got walls all over.
No, he does. Do not say that. He does not look like He-Man.
This is getting worse.
Hey, I seem to recall James even saying, "Hey, look, they're not going to hire somebody who actually looks like He-Man, Tyler," and which we know what he was talking about.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Let's get to another question.
So now we've got two people in this podcast who feel differently than you two, miserable schmucks over there. So.
Daniel Carhonen has one for you. James was wondering what merchandise from Masters of the Universe you bought lately. Any recent merchandise?
Must have bought something. What have I bought? I mean, I still buy sales every once in a while and stuff. Got anything? Let's have a look. I'll see if I got anything, like any sales or something. I'll leave my placeholder
There
in.
you go.
Can you make a voice while you're gone to kind of replace that? Can you still
I'm
hear
imagining somebody coming in right now and like, what is this?
That would be
That's what
like,
James
what's
should have
going
done.
on?
Lost our mind. We were talking to a crocheted or hand stitch, whatever work.
I mean, this is the least professional. It's the least professional podcast ever. You got a dork in a mask. You got a fucking puppet here.
That is the charm of our show, Joe.
You're not going to get this anywhere
Unprofessional
else. No other He-Man podcast.
300 episodes.
We are almost as Nathan would say, we're a puppet show, basically, right, Nathan? Is that what I was going to do? Remember, you're going to pass the reins to me?
Of the He-Man podcast.
Oh yeah. So when Joe was mocking me on Messenger because I wanted everybody to be here a little bit earlier when I called. That way I could set up everything and make sure we're good to go. We get all the talking and catching up. Hey, how's everybody doing? That way we actually start on time. And Joe mocked me. I'm like, well, hey, motherfucker, you can go download OBS. You can do all this. That's fine. He's like, so that's.
I wouldn't know what
I think
to
it would
do.
be
My brain
hilarious. You would be. Have you seen the GIF of Shawn Michaels back in the mid-'90s when he's sitting in front of a laptop trying to chat on AOL?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it would look like. You're just like poking and prodding at the keys and everything.
Check. All right, show us your goods, James.
Well, I got something that's not He-Man, but it's the most random. So if anybody knows the show Mask, as in my Mask, which like I never really owned a cell from Mask, but I got a cell from season 2 of Nevada Rushmore from there you go.
He was one of the only characters of Mask I owned as a kid because I got him for Christmas '87. I think it was. Like
that's when I got him. I got him in August of '87. He came with Matt Tracker and Goliath.
Yes, that's what I got.
Welcome to the Mask podcast.
I owned as a kid were those.
The other one I got a Skeletor drawing, which is always a good thing.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
I got this for the sake of I'd never owned a cell of her. I'll probably end up selling it at some point, but she was pretty cool. Spinnerella.
Oh,
It was beautiful. Very hot.
Hello. Tyler will appreciate this one. I got a new layout drawing, new as in never owned it before. Bob Pine Philosopher.
Oh, we're just getting ready to on Zoar. Oh man, it's so badass.
Because that's like one of my favourite sequences where he's trying to get Zor.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the lights kind of shining, but
no, it's perfect. We can see that. It looks great.
I've got a couple of drawings of Spycore as well, but they're quite nice. Let's see if I can get it out. No, I can't get it out.
Well, don't fuck it up. You don't have to worry. I don't want you to mess anything up or rip anything. You don't have to do that. I don't want you risking that. Well, James, there's one more question for you, and then there'll be I guess something that'll I don't know, stroke Tyler's ego again. But your final question, James, is there any plans for?
Joe, you can eat my ass. I just want you to.
All right, there you go. Is there any plans? for a re-release of the Dark Horse Filmation book. Would you know anything about that or no? If there's any,
I've never kept abreast of that, but they did re-release it in December of last year. So I think you can. They did a second print in December of last year, so it's definitely back out there. But it's something I don't really know about. When they're done with you, they're done with you.
All right. And Brian Brummagem, question: Tyler, did you ever do pro wrestling? Oh, for fuck's sake, him and these muscles.
I know
have.
that Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man, actually came up to Tyler and was like, "Hey, yeah, you should come here and train and shit." I remember that.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, it is true. But when I showed up, he didn't seem to either remember me and it was nothing but a bunch of fucking marks who were paying $300 to say, "Hey, Jimmy, watch me. Jimmy, you see this?" I'm like, oh
And
my
I mean,
God,
what's he got? He's got their money. Who gives a shit? But they're
of course. But I really thought it was gonna be people there who were like legitimately interested in putting together well-crafted wrestling. This was just people who just watched.
Well,
fucking
I
Raw
mean,
every week. I could do what they do too.
But Adam Page in AEW was trained by Jimmy Valiant there at the start, so he was there for a bit of time.
Was he really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so you do get a diamond out of that rough, but there.
Diamond in the rough. I could have been a diamond in that rough too, but
You could be on AEW right now, Tyler.
I mean,
CM Punk.
I was asked when me and Nathan went to that really shitty convention. The promoter asked if I was a wrestler.
Tyler gets it a lot when we go to stuff like that, especially when he meets other wrestlers. They're just like, they talk to him like they know him all the time. Oh, hey, brother, like,
wow,
you don't fucking know him.
Yeah, they all talk like Hulk Hogan. Like,
brother,
God, come bring it in here, bro.
Yeah, but Tyler and I did float around this funny idea that if he did do wrestling, that I would be like his manager.
Oh, so good.
Nathan was really
getting fucking worse by the moment.
I was gonna be like the shitty like heel manager for him, and he was just gonna be like that Adonis. He'd be like the narcissist, just like looking in the mirror and shit. And I'd be like Bobby Heenan, just be like, "Oh, look at that! I don't know why it sounds like Vince, but
there you go. Oh my God!
What a bummer way to end the fucking show.
Oh, come on, Joe.
All right, thanks for that, Brian. We appreciate that, Brian. Thanks for that compliment.
Any questions you got in the future, feel free to ask them. We'll make sure they get asked. But
Sweet Christ!
Decides to put the kibosh on your
But really though, could you imagine that? Like Tyler being a pro wrestler, and I'm there
shit.
like being his Paul Heyman, like I could heal it up pretty good if I wanted to, I feel like.
Yeah, he could. Nathan could. Nathan was so good about cutting into people without thinking twice about it. God, man. Even me. Nathan could cut me down to size. I mean, he was really good about that.
But I don't do it anymore, because I'm a good guy.
No.
I'm like Joe Amato. I'm a nice guy,
All right, well, now I'm sick. I got to get off the podcast. But, James, just wanted to thank you for coming on, sharing all that cool shit. And this time, thank goodness, there was good stuff, and there was nothing that, made us go crazy. But, no, that was good stuff. We really do appreciate it. We love that sneak peek with that little stuff with Return of Faker. Again, that was awesome. So, is there any other thing you want to promote before you get off here? Anything like maybe we can look forward to in a couple months or anything? Anything other?
I don't got much in the way of anything, really. But, I mean, at some point we'll start the documentary process for Faking Filmation, but as soon as they do that, as soon as we start, I'll be spouting off about that anyway. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure. Something I was looking forward to all week. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
That was a blast.
It would be fun too, because we always have James on the Talk Filmation, and I know James has mentioned 2000X. It would be fun to have a conversation with you about 2000X, whether it's a certain episode or just the series as a whole. Like, because we've talked about it quite a few times in the podcast, but I think it'd be really good to get your viewpoint. I mean, we already have a good idea, and you've talked about it over the years, but it would be really good just to have an in-depth discussion on pros and cons or one particular episode that really stood out, like that lends itself to great discussion.
And
absolutely,
maybe new adventures as well.
Yeah, there's so many episodes of New Adventures that are so bloody good. Like You're in the Army Now is like one of the best He-Man episodes there is, and yet probably 1% of the community has heard of it or watched it. So it's like, I'd be happy to talk about that kind of stuff.
Wasn't that a fucking Pauly Shore movie or something?
Yeah, it was.
It's in the Army now.
All right. Oh, Christ. All right.
How do you know
James,
those movies, Joe?
I don't know. It's terrible.
I've never seen Alien, but I've seen Pauly Shore movie.
I have a crazy...
He's got you on that one, Joe.
She did.
Oh,
She got me there.
wait,
I'll
wait,
movies too, even though he's
Wait,
an
by,
asshole in
by the
person.
way, Joe was supposed to have watched those movies, right, and given us a report. Have you watched those movies?
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
Wait for
James,
it. Wait
thank you
for
again
it.
for
That's
joining
what I
us.
fucking thought.
Anybody that's new in the chat room, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell so you can always be notified when we go live. And until next time, have a powerful day.
The naked American man stole my balloon.
Oh, fuck, I know that one.
I was hoping James might know because the guy that says it looks like a little James
All right,
Eatock.
we'll give James the floor.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've no. What was the quote again? Do it again.
It's like a naked American man stole my balloon.
Sorry, it's an amazing impression. I think you're doing South African for a second. So
Shit, man.
I thought you were doing South African, where you're all over
Once
here
you realize
somewhere.
where
I
it's
was
from,
oh,
I'm
this
like,
is some
fuck,
South
man, I'm not
African
doing a very good job
Isn't
at all.
isn't it
No.
strange, though, how Americans are so terrible about doing any other accent, but, like, actors from other countries can just nail the American...
Especially from
I think
Britain.
it's because we
Welsh.
just sound dumber. It's easier to do.
I don't think so. I think it's probably because American shows, cartoons, films, whatever, are such a part of the
Zeitgeist.
the world. Yeah, Zeitgeist. Yeah, it's like I grew up watching He-Man, Ghostbusters. Everything was American, but you know, He-Man's got an American accent for goodness'
Give
sake.
us your
sorry, what's
best
the point?
American accent, James.
Oh my God, I can't do that possibly. Let me think.
That was good. That was good.
So
Give me something to say. Like I'm trying to think.
it's hard to do it on the spot, isn't it?
Yeah, when someone's like, I'm just trying to think.
You just did it though, didn't you?
I could
That
do
was
like something like, how y'all doing?
Oh, no. No.
That's
Come on
the
now.
Cliche. Everyone goes for the southern
Because it's the
accent.
easiest
No, I
to
never do
do
Southern,
because
no.
they sound really stupid like we do.
what's the quote?
Like
Did you-
can you do a Boston accent, James? Like a South Boston.
Is Boston like is it all like I can't do it. Boston isn't that
Yeah,
like
it's like get in the
like-
car, Cole. Get in the car.
yeah, get in the cat. Don't make me come over there and smack you in the face.
Oh, you never did a Joe. Joe, are you insulted?
No, I'm not. That's fine.
That's what
Read
we
it.
should do. Like if we ever have a movie like that, and Joe is the mob boss, I want James to play one of the henchmen.
One of the henchmen. What do you want, boss?
There you go.
What are we doing? yeah.
Well, what did you guess this quote? Because I have no clue.
No,
I know it
Yeah, I
is.
do too.
What is it, Rebecca?
American Werewolf of London,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, all right. Since James has the genuine accent, can we get you to reiterate that line for us?
What was the line again? Something about a naked man stole my balloon.
A naked American man stole
Oh,
my balloon.
A naked American man stole my. Is it a little kid?
Yeah.
It's a little kid. Yeah, it looks like
A
Christopher
naked
Robin.
American man stole my balloon.
Jesus Christ.
See a picture of James dressed up as Christopher Robin saying, so you know, David Naughton
There you
stole
go.
his balloons.
And as we fade off air, James, you got to do it. Get the Orco, do the thing. We got
Send us off with a good beat off.
He's gonna throw it at the end. You realise, really?
Yes.
He's gonna do it for
Ah.
Ah, it's all over the screen. Oh God.
They got him a mask. No.
Oh no!
Oh boy.
Oh man, James,
See you
look at that
guys.
face. All that trawling spew.